Chapter 678. In a daze, he drove to Yulei Entertainment. After being away for so many days, the employees in the company did not have much of a reaction when they saw Yang Chung, the director. After all, it was common knowledge that Yang Chung did not go to work often. At that moment, most of them were looking at their computer screens in high spirits. Yang Chung did not know what they were so excited about. When he entered the office, he saw Anshin leaning on the desk and looking at something on the computer. She looked very serious. In the days that he was away, most of the official business was handed to her to handle. It seemed like she was very conscientious. An XIN was wearing a light purple shirt on the inside and a white office skirt on the outside. She had light makeup on her face, and her face was gentle and delicate. It made an XIN look less seductive and more intellectual. It had been a long time since he saw this little vixen. When he saw her again, Yang Cheng's gloomy mood instantly improved. "Hubby, you're back." When Anshin saw Yang Chung enter, her big eyes were filled with surprise. She put down the pen in her hand and jumped over. After hugging her tightly, Yang Chung patted Anshin's perky butt and smiled. "Baby Anshin, when I was in Beijing, I thought that only you would take the initiative to let me hug you. Indeed, you didn't disappoint me." Anshin raised her head and said sourly, "In that case, you were with another woman in Beijing." Yang Cheng's smile froze. He did not expect to be exposed again. Fortunately, Anshin was not too calculative. She blinked and said, "Even if I'm with another woman, I still miss you in my heart, don't I?" Anshin was clearly happy. She rolled her eyes at Yang Chung with a blushing face. "At least you know how to talk, but I'm embarrassed that you're so mushy all of a sudden." Yang Chung pinched Demonis An's nose dotingly and said, "Nothing happened in the company these few days, right?" Anshin immediately thought of something. She clapped her hands and said, "It's great that you're back. There will be a press conference later. As the director, it's very important for you to attend. Let's get ready and inform Zhao Teng and Wang Jie to return." "Press conference? Why?" Yang Chung was stunned. He just wanted to quietly think about how to reconcile with Lin Ruashi. Why did he really have a job? Anshin punched Yang Cheng's chest and pouted. "Hubby, you're too careless. Our company's top star, Miss Hui Lin, just released her new album this morning. Now the internet is exploding with information. The new song has become a super whirlwind on the charts. I was just paying attention to it." Yang Chung was a little confused. He was pulled to the front of the computer by Anshin. Looking at the information on the screen, he more or less understood the situation. It was Hui Lin's first solo album. Because the name Hui Lin wasn't suitable for publicity, she used the English letter Miss Lin as the album's title. This was also to synchronize it with the global market. There were 10 original songs in the album. They were all from Huaxia and the world's top musicians. With Hui Lin's unique voice, the songs were interpreted in various styles. Originally, Hui Lin had risen to fame because of the star of Yulei, Kristen, Yu Yonhee, etc. Now that she had the support of an international master team, the whole world was paying attention to her. Many people from Huaxia had been looking forward to it for a long time. Therefore, the moment the album was released, the internet began to search for it crazily. Several web portals had bought the rights to release the digital version long ago. This was in itself a recognition of Hui Lin's voice. With the simultaneous release, the netizens were able to hear Hui Lin's voice at the first moment. In just a few hours, many netizens, who originally thought that Hui Lin was relying on hype to gain fame, had lost their temper. The good reviews on the internet were like a frenzy, drowning out the voices of resistance. On the major new song charts, at least 5 songs from Hui Lin's album had entered the top 10. It was only then that Yang Chung understood why the employees in the company were looking at the computer screen so excitedly. Everyone knew that their hard work during this period of time had yielded great success. With such momentum, not only would Hui Lin's concert be held in Beijing, she would probably start a concert tour. This piece of good news temporarily lifted Yang Cheng's depressed mood. Following Anshin's instructions, he invited Zhao Teng and Wang Jie over to discuss about the press conference. He also got in touch with the team in Beijing to decide which cities to prepare the venues for the concert. These matters had to be settled as soon as possible. Fortunately, Yulei International had a lot of resources that could be used. With branches all over the world, it was much easier for them to settle the matters. They were busy from the morning until the afternoon. When it was almost time to knock off, they could finally rest. Sitting on the big leather chair, Yang Chung looked at the computer screen that was filled with news about Hui Lin. He smiled in relief. However, when he thought about how he still had to face Lin Ruoshi and Mo Chinny, he felt a headache again. He wanted to call back and ask if Lin Ruoshi had returned home. Yang Chung was worried that Lin Ruoshi would do the same thing as last time, avoiding him and not returning home. But after thinking about it, he gave up on the idea. The outcome would be the same regardless of whether he called her or not. When Anshin finished arranging some documents, she saw Yang Chung sitting there absent-mindedly. Sighing, she slowly walked to the back of Yang Chung and started massaging Yang Cheng's neck with her soft hands. Only then did Yang Chung realize that Anshin had not returned home from work. He smiled. "Babe Anshin, you've been busy for the whole day. Go back and rest. You're not in a good mood. Did something happen at home?" Anshin asked. Yang Chung stretched out his hand and patted the back of Anshin's hand. "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." Anshin climbed down and gently rubbed her cheek against Yang Cheng's face. She said softly, "Darling, do you know that when you're not in Zhonghai, I feel that the whole city is empty and I can't see anyone. So, no matter what happens to me, as long as you're by my side, it's the greatest satisfaction." Her gentleness made Yang Chung a little embarrassed. He felt bad for making his woman sad when he was feeling down. Yang Chung turned around and smiled. "All right, go home. I promise that I'll pull myself together and solve the problem. If you don't go back, I'll drag you to play office games. I'm relieved to see that your expression has changed." Anshin giggled and kissed Yang Chung on the lips. She then waved and left the office. The office quietened down. Yang Cheng's hand naturally picked up the mouse and clicked on Hui Lin's new song on the computer screen. Although he had heard Hui Lin sing in the recording studio before, listening to the completed song again was a different kind of enjoyment. Accompanied by the ethereal singing and the light melody, Yang Chen's eyes gradually shone with a glimmer of brilliance. Half an hour later, Yang Chung returned home from work. Fortunately, Lin Ruoshi had already returned home on time. She was still helping Guo Shuahua in the kitchen with some simple tasks. She seemed to be in a good mood. Yang Chung thought for a while and walked into the kitchen. He smiled and said, "Babe Ruoshi, you're so hard-working. It seems like you'll be the head chef in the family in the near future." Mother Wang and Guo Shuahua both glanced at Yang Chung. Meanwhile, Lin Ruoshi continued peeling the potatoes and ignored Yang Chung. She didn't even pause her hands for a moment. Yang Chung felt like he was choked and returned to the living room awkwardly. He initially thought that Lin Ruoshi was in a better mood, but it seemed like she was still ignoring his existence. Yang Chung thought of Hui Lin again. He turned around and said, "By the way, Hui Lin's new album has been released, and it's very popular. Ruoshi, give her a call and praise her. She's going to hold a concert and needs some encouragement." After he finished speaking, Lin Ruoshi's hands paused for a moment. A trace of complicated emotions flashed across her cold face, but it disappeared in a flash. Yang Chung had a bitter taste of his own medicine. Lin Ruoshi obviously heard what he said, but she ignored him. Instead, she was emotional because of Hui Lin's matter. He had prepared some words, but now he didn't have the chance to say them. At this moment, the phone in Lin Ruoshi's pocket vibrated. Lin Ruoshi put down the potatoes and tools she was peeling, wiped her hands, and took out her phone. A faint smile appeared on her indifferent face, and she quickly picked up the phone. Chapter 679. Yang Chung furrowed his brows. Why was she suddenly so happy? Could it be that Hui Lin called? It couldn't be such a coincidence, right? He heard Lin Ruoshi asking gently, "Chris, have you arrived in Zhonghai?" Chris? Yang Chung was stunned. It wasn't Hui Lin. A foreigner? And a man at that. What kind of man could make Lin Ruoshi, who rarely showed her face, so happy when she received a call? "Oh, you still like good food. But since you're in Japan, you should arrive in Zhonghai tomorrow. I'll pick you up at the airport. When will you arrive?" Lin Ruoshi asked expectantly. Yang Cheng's eyeballs almost fell out of his sockets. She couldn't be bothered with her husband, so why was she so concerned about a foreign man? So early, Lin Ruashi continued. All right, I'll pick you up. See you tomorrow morning. Lin Ruashi hung up the phone after she finished speaking. She seemed to be reminiscing about the past. Then, she put her phone back and continued peeling potatoes. Ruashi, who is this person? Why do you need to pick him up so early in the morning? Yang Chen couldn't help but ask. Lin Ruashi still didn't reply. She continued peeling. Yang Chen felt very uncomfortable. It was as if there was a rock pressing down on him. He wanted to do it, but he couldn't do it. He was afraid that he would anger Lin Ruashi. He then looked at Guo Shuahua and Mother Wang. They obviously didn't know and didn't pay much attention to him. Walking back to the living room, Yang Chen paced back and forth. He thought for a long time. His brows were almost knitted together. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Actually, he had thought about it a long time ago. With Lin Ruashi's beauty and status, there would definitely be countless suitors. Su Jihong, Zhang Xinlin, and Nao Ning Guodong were all examples. However, Lin Ruashi didn't have any men around her that were really close to her. Although it could be understood that she didn't like those men, how could she be sure that she didn't have any intimate male friends? After all, Lin Ruashi had gone to school and had gone through high school and university. She also had a few years of experience in society, so she definitely knew a lot of people. In addition, Lin Ruashi was very dissatisfied with him now. It was hard to guarantee that she would think of coming into contact with other men, whether she wanted to anger him or was really disappointed in him. This was a serious problem. Yang Cheng didn't think that this was the time to pretend to be magnanimous. This was related to the happiness of his family. No matter what, he had to strongly prevent any dangerous factors. Yang Cheng had a headache thinking about who that Chris was. Finally, he gritted his teeth and decided that since Lin Ruashi was going to the airport to pick that guy up the next morning, he might as well go and take a look himself. Jinxiu, who had just returned home from school, saw Yang Cheng gritting his teeth the moment she entered the door. She asked a little worriedly, "Big brother Yang, are you okay?" Yang Cheng only then realized that he was a little too emotional. He was really anxious. If it wasn't for the fact that he was really in the wrong, he would have grabbed Lin Ruashi's collar and asked her for an explanation. Now, he could only deal with it silently. Yang Cheng waved his hand and said, "I'm fine. I was thinking too much." "Oh," Jinxiu said doubtfully. Suddenly, she thought of something and said happily, "Oh, by the way, some students in school played Sister Hui Lin's new song on their phones today. It's really nice. We all forgot about revising. When is Sister Hui Lin going back to Zhonghai for a concert?" Yang Cheng patted the girl's head and said with a smile, "She will. I've already asked someone to contact the venue. You can study on Sheen. When the exams are over, I'll let you go on stage to present flowers to Hui Lin." "I don't want to." Jinxiu shook her head like a rattle drum. "I just want a VIP seat." After chatting with Jinxiu for a while, his mood finally improved. Unfortunately, during dinner, Lin Ruashi still showed no signs of thawing. Guo Shuahua and Mother Wang did not ask too much about the couple's affairs and pretended that nothing had happened. After Lin Ruashi finished eating, she helped Mother Wang wash the dishes. With the training over the past few days, Lin Ruashi's housework skills had improved a lot. Not only did Mother Wang smile happily, but Guo Shuahua was also very satisfied. After tidying up, Lin Ruashi went upstairs to the study and did not say a word. Yang Cheng was so depressed that he could not say anything. Seeing that Guo Shuahua and Mother Wang were watching Korean dramas again, he did not disturb them. He went upstairs, took a cold shower, and went to bed early. Because his mind was thinking about Lin Ruashi's phone call and the mysterious Chris, Yang Cheng could not sleep for the whole night. When the sky gradually brightened, the night had passed. Yang Cheng knew that Lin Ruashi would go to the airport to pick her up, so his ears were alert to the movements upstairs. When it was time for breakfast, he heard the sound of Lin Ruashi coming downstairs. Yang Cheng was in no hurry to go down. Instead, he waited until Lin Ruashi drove out before Yang Cheng quietly jumped down from the balcony, ran to the garage, and drove his car to the airport. In terms of driving and tailing, Yang Chung did not need to practice at all. He could completely follow Lin Ruashi's Bentley and at the same time not let Lin Ruashi see him in the rearview mirror. Yang Cheng's heart was uneasy. If it was really a man who was close to Lin Ruashi, how should he deal with him? He could not just kill him. The more he thought about it, the more his head hurt. He rolled down the car window and let the cold morning air in. Yang Cheng took a deep breath to suppress the restless emotions in his heart. More than half an hour later, the car drove into the airport. Because it was still early, there were not many cars. Lin Ruashi's car was parked on the side of the road at the international arrival exit. Getting out of the red Bentley, Lin Ruashi, who was wearing a gray pleated collar dress and a blue suit jacket, looked particularly spirited. Her Korean-style attire, coupled with her beautiful face, attracted countless eyes from outside the airport. Lin Ruashi was already used to this kind of attention. She looked at the watch on her wrist without batting an eyelid, patiently waiting for the person to come out from the exit to pick her up. Yang Chung parked the car nearly 100 meters away and watched from afar. If Chris and Lin Ruashi did not do anything intimate, he could leave quietly without letting Lin Ruashi know. After a few minutes, the automatic exit door opened, and a group of passengers walked out. When a mature man in his 40s walked out, Lin Ruashi smiled and took the initiative to walk up to him. He was pulling a black suitcase and wore a checkered shirt. He was tall and had curly hair. He looked like he was in his 40s, but his appearance was dignified. Yang Chung, who was sitting in the car, suddenly tensed up. That was Chris. He did not look like a foreigner, but more like a Huaxiao person. However, he seemed to be a little older. But the next scene made Yang Chung suddenly unable to hold it in. Chris put down his suitcase and walked up to hug Lin Ruashi with a smile. He even gently patted the woman's back. Yang Chung felt a rush of blood in his brain. His teeth could make the sound of grinding gears. Without saying a word, he started the car and stepped hard on the accelerator. Vroom! The car's engine roared wildly, and the M3 accelerated instantly like a rocket. The passers-by and staff around were terrified. Some even thought that they had encountered a terrorist attack. What was going on? They saw a white car shooting in the direction of the exit like a stream of light. The distance of more than 100 meters was covered in just a few seconds. Yang Chung even slammed on the brakes hard and almost drifted. Lin Ruashi and Chris were also shocked. Chris let go of Lin Ruashi and widened his eyes in panic. Lin Ruashi, on the other hand, recognized Yang Chung. Her eyes were full of surprise and uncertainty. Yang Chung got out of the car and slammed the door shut with a bang. With a livid expression, he strode up to the two of them. He glanced coldly at Lin Ruashi, then stared at Chris. Chris swallowed his saliva and forced a smile. He asked in English, "Excuse me, is there something you need from me, sir?" Yang Chung sneered without any emotion. With the same American accent, he said, "You are Chris?" Chris nodded stiffly. The man in front of him was obviously very young, but the pressure he exuded made him so afraid that he did not dare to speak loudly. "Does it feel good to hug someone else's wife?" Yang Chung asked with a smile. Chris was stunned. "Wife?" He turned to look at Lin Ruashi and said in surprise, "Lin, you're married? Why didn't you tell me? Is this your husband?" Lin Ruashi's pretty face was pale. Her eyes were glistening as she looked straight at Yang Chung without saying a word. Yang Chung looked at the woman coldly and said with a sneer, "Why, didn't you tell this man that you're married? Looks like you've been prepared for this. Ha! Although I know that I've let you down in many ways, you've really impressed me. Lin Ruashi, if you're looking for an old man like this to make me jealous, I don't think there's any need for that. You don't have to be so sneaky either. It's better to be open and above board, just like me." Many people around came closer, wanted to see what was going on. A traffic policeman in uniform pushed his way through the crowd and walked to Yang Cheng's side. He picked up a ticket and said solemnly, "Sir, your driving behavior just now is a serious violation of public security regulations. Driving in such a dangerous manner is not allowed in the airport. Be careful next time. You'll be fined 400. Looking at the traffic policeman copying the license plate and preparing to write a ticket, Yang Chung sneered and said, "Officer, you don't seem to understand the current situation. I'm dealing with the problem of my wife and another man. If you have any conscience, you'd better not disturb me for now. The traffic policeman's expression was bitter. Sir, I know you're in a bad mood, but I'm an officer. A ticket is a must. Find my ass. Yang Chung was furious. He directly snatched the ticket and threw it aside. Lin Ruoshi's body trembled, as if she had suffered a huge shock. She bit her lower lip and was on the verge of breaking down. Chris finally understood the situation and said quickly, Lin's husband, I think we have a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Yang Chung sneered and said, I don't think this woman would be hugging an ordinary friend. Right, Lin Ruoshi. The tears in Lin Ruoshi's eyes finally fell. Her hands were clenched into fists, as if she was going to dig her nails into her flesh. Yang Chung felt like he was going crazy. He endured the pain in his heart and said, It's okay if you don't want to talk to me. I can understand that you're angry with me. Even if you want to hit me or scold me, I can accept it. But you didn't listen to any of my explanations and came to the airport to see that bullsh asterisk T Chris. Lin Ruoshi, I really didn't expect. Slap. Lin Ruoshi suddenly raised her hand and slapped Yang Chung across the face. The crisp and clear sound of the slap caused the surrounding people to gasp in shock. Yang Chung did not dodge, nor did he want to dodge. He touched the place where he was slapped and snorted softly. What? You dare to do it, but don't dare to let others talk about it. Sir, you've really misunderstood. Chris shouted anxiously. I'm Lin's university tutor. I'm not the kind of person you think I am. Thump! Yang Chung felt as if something in the bottom of his heart had directly snapped. He was almost petrified for a while before Yang Chung came back to his senses. He turned his head stiffly to look at Chris and asked hoarsely, What did you just say? Chris smiled bitterly and said, Sir, you've really misunderstood Lin. My name is Chris Andrew Auerbach. I was Lin's university tutor and also her graduate tutor. My main research is in the direction of human resources management. Although I'm half Huaxia, I'm an American and I'm already married. My wife, Jennifer, will be coming to Zhonghai to meet me in a few days. 2 years ago, I returned to the United States to teach. Recently, I received an invitation from Lin to come to ULA International to take on some management duties. Because Lin is my favorite student, although she dropped out of school and did not graduate, we have a very good relationship and have always kept in touch. Moreover, I am also very optimistic about the future of ULA International, so I specially came over. I really didn't expect that my courtesy hug would cause Lin's husband, Sir, to misunderstand. God bless me. I really didn't know that Lin was already married and that you, Sir, came with her. Sir, you've really misunderstood Lin. Yang Chung already did not know how to describe his current feelings. Because, rather than saying it was a sudden joy, it was better to say that it was a sudden disaster. Everything suddenly became clear to him. Because it was her university tutor who came to Huaxia to help her manage her company. Lin Ruoshi was so happy that he came. Because he was an American professor, she did not care about the details and could directly call him by his name. So she directly called him Chris, because he was an American teacher and student had not seen each other for many years. So he hugged according to Western etiquette. Yang Chung did not dare to face Lin Ruoshi at this moment, because in the woman's inconsolable eyes his figure seemed so gray. The people around them were pointing and talking. Although many did not know what exactly happened, they could tell that Yang Chung had misunderstood Lin Ruoshi. Yang Chung knew that not only did he embarrass himself, but he also made a fool of Lin Ruoshi in public. What did he do? He actually doubted Lin Ruoshi's loyalty. He actually drove a car and secretly followed his own wife and even publicly ridiculed her. If he could, Yang Chung wanted to twist his own head off. But it had already happened. Even though Yang Cheng's brain could advance by leaps and bounds in the realm of martial arts, and he could comprehend the concept that others might not be able to comprehend in a few lifetimes, he was still completely stunned by the deadlock in front of him. Ruoshi, Yang Cheng's brain was like glue, and he could not think of any words to comfort her. He frowned and was about to go crazy. Lin Ruoshi closed her eyes tightly and reached out to wipe away her tears. In her bright and beautiful body, The woman's soul seemed to be dim and lightless. After a long time, Lin Ruashi said to Chris as calmly as possible, "Chris, I'm sorry that you encountered such a thing as soon as you arrived. Let's go. I'll take you to the company to meet some of the key executives." Chris nodded and looked hesitantly at Yang Chung. He seemed to know that there was nothing more to say, so he could only sigh and follow Lin Ruashi into the car. Only Yang Chung was left standing there alone, like a rooster who had lost a fight, and his face was pale. The traffic policeman who had his ticket thrown away walked forward angrily, wrote a ticket, and stuffed it directly into Yang Cheng's hand. "Sir, your ticket. Pay attention to the traffic rules next time." "Umph." As if saying that was not enough, the traffic policeman pointed at Yang Cheng's nose and lectured, "You're a failure to be a man." "Umph." Yang Cheng was like a wooden man, turning a deaf ear to the traffic policeman. He held the ticket in his hand and stared at the ground, as if he had lost his soul. Chapter 680. Lin Ruashi led her mentor, Chris, into the car. She quietly started the car and left the airport. Chris sat in the passenger seat and said in a self-reproachful tone, "I'm really sorry, Lin. I didn't expect to bring you such trouble. I'll find a time to apologize to your husband." "No need." Lin Ruashi's eyes were still red, but she had already controlled her emotions. She said calmly, "We didn't do anything wrong. But, Chris, I invited you here because I want you to enter the company as the HR director. You don't have to worry about my family and marriage," Lin Ruashi said. Chris sighed and nodded with a bitter smile. He said, "All right. To be honest, I'm very curious about that man. What made you two get together? No matter what, I hope you two can be happy. After all, I can see that he cares about you a lot." Lin Ruashi snorted softly. "Chris, our relationship is very complicated. You don't have to say anything more. What's more, if following me secretly and doubting my character in public is considered caring about me, then I'd rather not be cared about." Sigh. "Lin, although I don't know much about the inside story, I'm sure that the conflict between you and your husband is not one-sided. You are also responsible. As your teacher, I have to say that you are an extremely intelligent student in terms of academics and career. Even I, as a teacher, am a little ashamed of my inferiority. But as a woman, you are actually not successful. I think you should learn more from my wife, Jennifer." Chris shook his head and sighed. Lin Ruashi frowned and glanced at her mentor. "Why? Do you know, just half a year ago, I had a very intimate lover? During those days, I often lied to my wife, Jennifer, but in reality, I was just with my lover," Chris said, a little embarrassed. Unfortunately, I was caught by my wife in the mall one time. She understood everything on the spot." There was a look of surprise in Lin Ruashi's eyes. She temporarily forgot about her pain and continued to listen to Chris quietly. Chris sighed and said, "I thought I was going to be humiliated. When I saw Jennifer approaching me, my hands were shaking, my legs were weak, and I almost fainted. I'm very worried that she will fall out with me in the mall. That would be terrible. The American reporters will definitely write that the famous human resources professor, Chris Orbach, was caught cheating. Then, it will be a court flyer, and even his reputation will be ruined." Lin Ruashi was silent. She didn't expect her master to be such a man, but he was her master after all, so she couldn't say anything to him. Chris rubbed his chin and smiled shamefully. "However, things are not as I thought. At that time, my dear Jennifer gracefully walked up to me and that woman, just like a friend who had met by chance. She smiled and said to me, 'The children always thought you were a great father, and I always believed that you were the best choice in my life. We'll wait for you to come home for dinner, and we'll make you your favorite chicken and cheese salad.'" Oh, God, Lin, do you know, I was so ashamed at the time. I found it hard to express my love for Jennifer in words. She was such an irresistible wife. I broke up with that woman right then and there, and I haven't had any contact with her since. Until now, my relationship with Jennifer is still very good. This time, she did not hesitate to accompany me to live in Huaxia again. Lin Ruashi gripped the steering wheel tightly and smiled bitterly. "Is that so? It's really good." Chris smiled and said, "I'm telling you this because I hope you can also have a happy marriage. After all, you're my proudest student." "Lin, In fact, what men need is far less than what women need. Women will think that men are not romantic enough, not considerate enough, not loyal enough, but in fact, men only need women to give them face. Face, Lin Ruashi murmured. Yes, no matter what the occasion, in front of people, even in front of family, men don't want to lose face. Don't think about making a man yield to you in front of the public. It's not realistic, unless that man has no self-esteem at all. Just like what my wife Jennifer did. Even when she found out that I was having an affair, she still helped me maintain my face in front of the public. This made me feel the strongest gratitude towards her, and it inspired all the love I have for her. Believe me, Lin, your husband loves you very much. I'm a man, so I can see that. And a man who loves you and is tolerant of him is the most difficult thing for him to resist. As long as you treat him better in front of others, such as in front of colleagues or parents, you can make him feel that he has face and is respected. As for when it's just the two of you, no matter how you want to bully him, he won't be unhappy. Instead, you can really take the initiative behind the scenes. Christ raised his eyebrows and smiled. Just like me now, all my money has been taken away by Jennifer. I'm basically a pauper, but I'm still very happy. Hearing this, Lin Ruashi's heart was slightly moved. She bit her lower lip. It seemed like she had never given Yang Cheng any face. Even in front of Guo Xiuhua, she did not give her son much face. Christ sighed and said, Actually, I'm very embarrassed to tell you these things, but I hope it will help you. Lin Ruashi softly said, Although things are very complicated, I still have to thank you. Next, I hope that you will pay more attention to work. Christ spread his hands, looking rather helpless. At the same time, outside the airport, the traffic was bustling. After standing at the entrance of the airport for a long time, Yang Cheng touched his face and let out a long sigh. Then, he returned to his car and drove away. After driving aimlessly on the highway for almost an hour, Yang Cheng gradually calmed down. He laughed at himself and got off at an intersection, planning to go to the company. Although he could not think of any way to solve his current predicament, Yang Cheng did not intend to be so dispirited. However, he did not expect that, after the car entered a street, he would actually come to a familiar place, the West Side Market. In this place where he had sold mutton skewers for more than half a year, Yang Cheng felt a little sad to revisit this old place. Previously, when he was in the public relations department of Yulei, he would come here to buy breakfast for his female colleagues. But now, he had not come here for several months, and most of the vendors here were no longer familiar. Things remained the same, but people had changed. Yang Cheng slowed down the car, made a turn, and arrived at the bar street. Because it was daytime, there were not many people on the street, and most of the bars were still closed. When he drove past the small bar where he first met Lin Ruashi, Yang Cheng braked, carefully looked around, and then shook his head with a bitter smile. This was the beginning of his magical life for more than a year. Now, he felt that this kind of life was coming to an end, and coincidentally, he came here again. Yang Cheng did not get off the car and continued to drive forward. He made a detour to the vicinity of the dangerous small building where he used to live, only to find that the building had been demolished, and a new apartment building was being built. Yang Cheng stopped at the side of the construction site for a while, and many thoughts appeared in his mind. Finally, as if he had made a decision, he gritted his teeth, turned the car around, and drove toward the direction of the city center. Because of the traffic jam, it was already lunchtime when he arrived at the Yulei International Building. Yang Cheng parked the car and directly took the elevator to the floor of the CEO's office. He ran to the door of Lin Ruashi's office and knocked on the door, but there was no response. After a little sensing, he found that there was no one in the office. No wonder that airport lady Wu Yu did not run to stop him. Yang Cheng scratched his head, went down one floor, and randomly grabbed a female staff in the secretariat and asked, "Where did General Lin go?" The female staff seemed to recognize Yang Cheng and quickly replied respectfully, "General Lin is in a meeting in the big conference room, and the meeting should be over soon." Yang Cheng was stunned for a while. Meeting? She actually had the mood to go to a meeting? Although he knew that Lin Ruashi could always control her mood, He did not expect that this woman would be so open-minded that she could go back to the company to continue the meeting after something like this had happened. Yang Chung could only sigh. This was no longer as simple as being a workaholic. It was simply a split personality in treating feelings and work. When he arrived at the corridor outside the big conference room, he happened to see a group of company executives walking out of the door. Walking at the front was impressively Lin Ruoshi and Chris, and on the two sides were Emo Chienyi, whom he had been thinking about, the two women, Lu Mingyu, Li Mingyi, and the others. Everyone saw Yang Chung standing in the corridor like a door god, and they all stopped in their tracks. Emo Chienyi had a complicated expression, while Lu Mingyu was a little surprised, and Wu Yu was frowning, as if she was very disgusted. Lin Ruoshi was originally instructing Chris about something, but when she saw Yang Chung suddenly appear, her eyes were a little evasive. In this situation, she could not pretend that she did not see him, but she did not know how to speak. Chris was not very clear about the situation, and even greeted him in a friendly manner, saying, "Hi, Mr. General Lin. We meet again so soon. How are you, Mr. General Lin?" All the executives present heard it clearly. Immediately, Wu Yu, Li Mingyi, and the others, who did not know what was going on, revealed a look of shock. Lin Ruoshi also panicked. The matter that had been hidden from the public all this time had actually been exposed so suddenly. As for the two women, Emo Chienyi and Lu Mingyu, they obviously had a bitter look on their faces. Chris realized that everyone was strange and surprised, and smiled stiffly uncomfortably. He sensed that he seemed to have caused some trouble again. Chapter 681. General Lin is married. Her husband is Director Yang. I've never heard of it. Who knows? I really didn't expect it to be like this. No wonder he trusts Director Yang so much. The executives who were following behind whispered to each other, clearly very excited about this fact. This was much more important news than the new Human Resources Director Chris. Wu Yu also revealed an expression of sudden realization. She finally understood why Yang Chung always ran directly to Lin Ruoshi for no reason, and why Lin Ruoshi would inexplicably be willing to see him. Wu Yu secretly looked at her boss from behind with some bitterness. She did not understand why she, the closest assistant to Lin Ruoshi, did not know that Lin Ruoshi was already married. She had even been foolishly guarding against Yang Chung all this time. So they were a family. She was basically playing the role of clown. After Yang Chung and Emo Chienyi and Lu Mingyu looked at each other, he expressionlessly walked in front of everyone and stood directly in front of Lin Ruoshi. In a calm tone, he said, "Come with me to a place." Lin Ruoshi looked at the man coldly for a while and did not respond. Instead, she silently passed by Yang Chung and continued to walk out of the corridor. Yang Chung turned around and said, "I'll count to 3. If you don't come with me obediently, don't regret it." Lin Ruoshi's footsteps paused for a moment. Then she continued to walk out, ignoring him. 1. Lin Ruoshi continued to walk. 2. Everyone looked at the two of them worriedly and curiously. They did not understand what had happened between this husband and wife who had always been secretive. Yang Chung did not count to 3. Instead, he turned around and strode to catch up with Lin Ruoshi. Amidst the exclamations of the crowd, he actually bent down and carried the woman in his arms. Lin Ruoshi only felt her legs hanging in the air in an instant, and her body was carried by the man's strong arms. If it wasn't for her strong self-control, Lin Ruoshi would have screamed. She was picked up by this guy in front of everyone in the company. Lin Ruoshi didn't know what she was feeling. She wished that everything was a dream, but she didn't have time to think about it. Yang Chung had already strode toward the elevator outside the corridor. Emo Chienyi and Lu Mingyu looked at each other and saw the worry and doubt in each other's eyes, but they both knew that this was not something they should be involved in. It wasn't until they entered the elevator that Lin Ruoshi suddenly woke up. She struggled to break free from Yang Cheng's hands. She twisted her body and stared at Yang Chung with grief and indignation. But how could she break free from Yang Cheng's strength? Her legs were tightly hooked, and her arms were also firmly grabbed. No matter how hard Lin Ruoshi twisted, She couldn't get away from Yang Cheng's body. The elevator went down floor by floor and stopped at 2 or 3 floors. When the people outside saw the scene inside, they all revealed an incomparably shocked expression. The beautiful iceberg-like CEO, who hadn't melted for 10,000 years, was actually being carried by the branch's director Yang in the elevator. This kind of scene made all the employees outside the elevator not have the courage to enter the elevator. Lin Ruoshi was so ashamed that she wanted to die. She wanted to directly bite off a piece of meat from a man's chest. She even thought that Yang Cheng had a mental problem. Yang Cheng lowered his head, and the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of an evil smile. Lin Ruoshi, you better not move around. If you make me angry, I won't just carry you. When the elevator reaches the lobby on the first floor, there will be more people. I may not be able to bear it and carry you out and kiss you in public. Lin Ruoshi's whole body instantly felt as if it had been electrocuted. She didn't dare to casually move, but the grievance in her heart turned into tears in her eyes. She gritted her teeth and said, "You devil! Yo!" Yang Cheng beamed with joy and laughed. "You are finally willing to open your mouth to talk to me. My dear, how do you know that one of my nicknames is Devil? TSK, TSK. It feels so good to hear you talk to me." Lin Ruoshi closed her eyes, resigned to her fate. She knew that she couldn't escape from the clutches of Yang Cheng. However, Yang Cheng wasn't too vicious. He didn't really stop at the lobby on the first floor. Instead, after the elevator entered the parking lot, he directly stuffed Lin Ruoshi into his car and then drove away from the building. Lin Ruoshi had already stopped crying. Her lips were pale, and she looked out of the window with a gloomy face. She didn't want to look at Yang Cheng at all. Yang Cheng was too lazy to say anything more. He drove the car and sped all the way. After about half an hour, he arrived at the side of the West District's Central Plaza. After parking the car, Yang Cheng got out of the car and opened the door for Lin Ruoshi, saying, "Come down." Lin Ruoshi sat there without moving, as if she had made up her mind to ignore Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng narrowed his eyes. "You're so uncooperative. Do you want me to carry you there?" Lin Ruoshi glared at the man angrily and could only get out of the car. She tidied up her messy appearance and asked, "Where are we going?" "Just follow me." Yang Cheng smiled mysteriously, turned around, and led the way. Lin Ruoshi had no choice but to follow Yang Cheng step by step. A scene that caused people to raise their eyebrows appeared in the square. A man with an average appearance and a lazy look was yawning as he walked in front, while a woman wearing a gray skirt and blue shirt, who was outrageously beautiful, followed unwillingly from behind. It was like a pair of problem lovers in the afternoon in the movies, making people curious about what was going on. A few minutes later, the two of them arrived at a coffee shop by a fountain. Lin Ruoshi revealed a look of suspicion. She naturally recognized this place. This was the first time she had brought Yang Cheng here. "You won't forget, right?" Yang Cheng turned around and said with a smile, "Back then, our marriage agreement was signed here." Lin Ruoshi's expression was a little absent-minded, as if she had recalled something, and she nodded blankly. Yang Cheng chuckled and led the way in. After all, they hadn't been here for a year. Many of the decorations and waiters in the shop had changed. After the new young waiter brought the two upstairs, Yang Cheng requested to sit in the same private room as before. The same place, the same person, but the situation was different. "Sir, what would you like to drink?" the waiter asked politely. Yang Cheng said, "This lady needs Blue Mountain with milk and no sugar. I want Naples, American flavor." The waiter agreed and was about to leave when Yang Cheng called out to him again. "Give me some A4 paper and a pen. Do you have it here?" Yang Cheng said. The waiter was stunned for a moment, but he immediately nodded. "Yes, please wait a moment." Lin Ruoshi sat there and looked at Yang Cheng with a complicated expression. She remembered that when they first met here, the coffee they ordered was Blue Mountain. Moreover, Yang Cheng also remembered that she wanted milk and no sugar when the waiter brought the coffee, A4 paper, and pen. Yang Cheng asked him to leave, and the private room immediately quietened down. Yang Cheng quietly picked up the pen, took a piece of paper, and began to write on it. "What did you bring me here for?" Lin Ruoshi didn't like this kind of situation where she wasn't in control. She was more and more confused about what Yang Chung meant. Yang Chung wrote a few big words on the paper, picked up the paper, and put it in front of Lin Ruoshi. Lin Ruoshi's gaze instantly changed from confusion and impatience to astonishment and bewilderment, with a hint of panic. It was as if a piece of ice had fallen into her heart. Lin Ruoshi felt an eerie chill that made her feel uncomfortable all over. The title on the paper was Divorce Agreement. He wants a divorce. Lin Ruoshi never thought that Yang Chung would suddenly do this because he wanted to make such a decision. Yang Chung sneered and said, "Ruoshi baby, you seem to be very slow. Why do you think I suddenly exposed our relationship in public? Why do you think I hugged you without caring about others? Why do you think you were angry at me and even stared at me as if you wanted to kill me? That's right, I'm already prepared for a divorce. Because I plan to get a divorce, I can't be bothered to leave any way out in front of you." Lin Ruoshi's hands that were on her thighs gripped the hem of her skirt tightly. Her knuckles turned white, and she bit her cherry lips. She felt that her breathing was a little stagnant, as if she was suffocating. Now that things have come to this, I don't want to care anymore about who is right and who is wrong. Perhaps everything is arranged by fate. Writing the divorce agreement right here, where we sign a marriage agreement, would be a good ending, wouldn't it? Yang Chung said with a faint smile. Lin Ruoshi's moist eyes stared intently at Yang Cheng's eyes, trying to see if Yang Chung was serious about what he said. In the end, Lin Ruoshi couldn't see that Yang Chung was joking at all. He really wanted to divorce her. A deep sorrow flashed across Lin Ruoshi's face, but it turned into a sense of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. She smiled gently and said, "It seems that you've made a perfect choice." Yang Cheng's smile faded, and he said solemnly, "On the way to the office, I've already made a call to check. The divorce procedures require our household register, identity card, marriage certificate, and so on. But those are small matters. The most important thing is a reasonable divorce agreement. Ordinary couples might have issues regarding property and child support to negotiate, but we don't have children, so it doesn't matter in terms of property. You don't lack money, and I don't lack anything, so I'll write it according to the current situation. You don't have any objections, right?" "I don't have any objections," Lin Ruoshi said coldly, and lowered her head to pick up the coffee. The hand that was holding the coffee cup trembled slightly, but Lin Ruoshi quickly controlled her wrist and didn't spill the coffee. After taking a sip, Lin Ruoshi let out a sigh of relief. "Write it. As you said, there's nothing for us to fight over." Chapter 682. Yang Chung didn't stand on ceremony. He quickly wrote down lines of words on the paper. His speed wasn't slow, and his handwriting was very clear. Lin Ruoshi quietly looked at the man in front of her. He wrote down the words that separated the two of them. It was as if he was building a wall in front of them. They were so close to each other, and they saw each other every day. But after this piece of paper came into effect, they would never be the same again. About 10 minutes later, Lin Ruoshi felt like a century had passed. When Yang Chung picked up the completed agreement and put it in front of Lin Ruoshi hurriedly wiped the tears on her face. She didn't know when she started crying. The day hadn't passed yet, but she had already shed countless tears. Yang Cheng's expression didn't change, as if he didn't see anything. He said solemnly, "You can look at the terms carefully. I think there should be no problem. I've already signed it. You just need to sign it, and this document will come into effect." Lin Ruoshi looked at the densely packed terms. She calmed herself down, pulled herself together, and read it carefully. This agreement was very fair. There were no conflicts of interest, and there were no loopholes. It could be said to be the most peaceful breakup. Looking at the signature at the end, Yang Chung had already written his name. The empty line was for her. Lin Ruoshi was in a daze for a while. Then she raised her head and said indifferently, "Give me the pen." Yang Chung suddenly grinned and said, "Before I give you the pen to sign, I need to make some things clear. This way, this divorce can make me feel at ease." Lin Ruoshi was silent for a moment. Then she said, "Go ahead." At the same time, she put the agreement in her hand back in the middle. Yang Chung crossed his legs, took a sip of coffee, and said, "There are only two main reasons why we came to this point. First, you're not the only woman by my side. Some of them are even your good sisters that you know. Second, I misunderstood you today, or should I say, I suspected you. But the second reason, I think it's more of a fuse. After all, I'm not a robot. I'm not a computer. I also have my own emotions, so I don't think it's a big problem. Of course, I apologize for my stupidity and recklessness." Lin Ruashi sneered. "There's no need. Since we're going to divorce, there's no need to apologize." Yang Chung shrugged and said with a smile, "All right then, I'll get to the point. I believe that your biggest dissatisfaction with me after I came back from Beijing was that you heard from Ani Jiangshan that I had a relationship with Ning, and Yonyan. Although I don't know how she told you about it, I don't think that you'll feel that it's a good thing no matter what. You must think that I'm just a playboy who likes beauties and that I don't treat you seriously. That's why I had a relationship with your good sisters. But I want to tell you that although I like beauties, I'm not a pig that would fall in love with everyone I see without considering your feelings. Just say what you want to say. There's no need to beat around the bush." Lin Ruashi coldly snorted. "I only know that a certain man said that he was going to Beijing to help a woman solve some problems, but in less than 2 days, there was suddenly news that he had sex with 2 other women, and even his parents knew about it. Nothing could be changed. I can't see any honesty, any sincerity, or any so-called consideration that you mentioned. Back then, I tolerated it when I had Chinny, because I was the one who set up the situation in Hong Kong, and I felt guilty for putting you guys in danger. You knew Miss Chiang Wei before we knew each other, and I don't have the power to make you erase your past. Moreover, she saved our family. But whether it's Mingyu or Anshin, I don't believe that you can't reject them, even if they're pitiful, fine. Because I didn't fulfill my responsibility as a wife, I'll accept those budding seeds. I think you should have other women by your side, like Catherine, who you met in Paris. But that's your past, and I can't change it. But how do you want me to understand that Yonyan, who grew up with me, is also involved? What's more, Sister Kai Ning, who is like a sister to me, is also involved. The closer someone is, the more painful it is, because it's not a fight, but a betrayal." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Ruashi seemed to have exhausted a lot of energy. She panted and stared at Yang Chung with sparkling eyes. Yang Chung took a deep breath and said seriously, "Fine, I'll tell you why Ning Er and Yonyan betrayed you." Lin Ruashi didn't say anything and looked at Yang Chung coldly. "Do you still remember the first time you pulled me out of the West Side police station? From then on, Yonyan and I interacted. She thought that I was a bank robber, and in short, I wasn't a good person. She went against me and always found trouble with me. She even angered me a few times, and I was completely disgusted with her. Later, I met Jinxiu, and Jinxiu told me that Yonyan, the police chief, had helped her get on the right path and start a small business. At that time, I changed my opinion of her because she wasn't a bad person, but I didn't like her. I'm not sure why Yonyan liked me. Maybe it's because I saved her from a shooting case. Or maybe it's something else. In short, I didn't take the initiative to provoke her. Do you still remember that time when she came to our house? She left her white bag on the sofa. She did it on purpose so that she could have an excuse to ask me out. To be honest, her trick was very cliché, but it matched her personality. It was a little naive and cute. It was that time, when we had lunch together, she suddenly told me that she liked me. Also, she found out from you that we were in a contract marriage. I was a little dumbfounded at that time. Lin Ruashi, how could you tell her about that kind of thing? If she didn't know about that, maybe she wouldn't have confessed that time." Yang Chung smiled bitterly and shook his head. When Lin Ruashi heard this, her expression became slightly awkward. She had forgotten that she had actually told Choi Yun about the contract marriage. If that was really the case, then she was indeed suspected of pushing it forward. Yang Chung continued. "However, although Choi Yun's words made me feel very ashamed and touched, I still rejected her that day. At that time, I felt that she was your good sister, and I couldn't ignore your feelings. It was the truth. But I didn't expect that Choi Yun's personality would be so unyielding. She actually foolishly thought that I felt that she wasn't strong enough, so I despised her. Do you still remember that night her sister Ning Er came home and said that I was cruel to Choi Yun? She said that if anything happened to Choi Yun, she would definitely not let me off. Lin Ruoshi nodded silently. She also didn't understand what happened that night. Yang Chung said, in order to become stronger, Yeonyeon participated in a special forces selection with her identity as a policewoman. That's a special training where you might accidentally die during the training. This time, Lin Ruoshi could no longer remain calm. She opened her mouth emotionally. Really? Really? Yang Chung smiled bitterly. Otherwise, why do you think Yeonyeon suddenly resigned from the police station and disappeared without a trace in those few months? Lin Ruoshi recalled that period of time. Indeed, she couldn't contact Choi Yun. Just thinking about that kind of thing happened made her break out in cold sweat for Choi Yun. Yang Chung let out a long sigh. Do you know, when I saw Choi Yun, who had survived the training, standing with a group of men, her face tanned, standing under the sun, tried her best to maintain a serious expression, pretending not to know me. I couldn't lie to myself. How could I ignore all the effort she had made? A woman who, in order to make me like her, even relied on her own imagination, even when she couldn't see any hope, to make a decision that almost cost her life. What have I done for her? What have I done for her? If I continue to ignore her existence, am I still human? After all, I've interacted with her quite a bit in the past. I'd be lying to myself if I said I didn't have any feelings for her. It's just that through that incident, I admitted everything. Lin Ruoshi bit her lips, her eyes blurred as she asked, all right, even if it's about Yeonyeon, I can understand, but what about Sister Kai Ning? Yang Chung said helplessly, actually, you were involved in Ninger's matter too. Lin Ruoshi frowned. Why me again? Although I know Sister Kai Ning, I'm not familiar with her at all. Zheng Xinlin, didn't you plan the Zheng family's matter? Yang Chung smiled bitterly. If it wasn't for your big move that directly destroyed Zheng Xinlin's Changlin Media, Zheng Xinlin and Su Jihong wouldn't have joined forces to take revenge. If they weren't deranged and hysterically trying to kill you, I wouldn't have had to kill Zheng Xinlin. If it wasn't for Zheng Xinlin's death, the head of the Zheng family in Beijing, Zheng Mao, wouldn't have come to Zhonghai to take revenge for his grandson. If it wasn't for Zheng Mao's desperation to destroy Yulei International, to hurt you, and to kill me, I wouldn't have had to take the risk to kill Zheng Mao. Lin Ruoshi listened to the series of causes and consequences and said confusedly, even if I'm responsible for all of this, I'm only doing what a businessman should do. I couldn't have predicted all of this. Moreover, what does this have to do with Sister Kai Ning? Yang Chung rolled his eyes at the woman. Do you think that after the head of the Zheng family, Zheng Mao, died, it's so easy to deal with it? Do you know that I wasn't the one who killed him in the end? It was Ninger who killed Zheng Mao, so that I wouldn't have to bear the brunt of the Zheng family's vengeance. Ning didn't want me to bear the brunt of the Zheng family's vengeance. She killed Zheng Mao and took all the responsibility. What? Lin Ruoshi's eyes widened. She clearly didn't expect things to turn out like this. Yang Chung sighed. Actually, you should also find a chance to thank Ninger. If it wasn't for her taking the risk of going to the military court to protect me, perhaps nothing would have happened to me. However, you and Yulei International might not have been able to avoid outside interference. Perhaps we might still be living in Huaxia. Lin Ruoshi closed her eyes tightly and held her forehead to calm herself down before asking. Then, Sister Kai Ning, has everything been resolved? Yang Chen nodded and lamented. Fortunately, I managed to build a good relationship with the Li clan during my trip to Beijing, so the problem has been resolved. If I hadn't gone there this time, Kai Ning would have listened to her mother's words and married a good-for-nothing. A woman who had nothing to do with me was willing to be tried by the military court for my sake. Not only did she lose her reputation, but she also almost married a man she didn't like at all. How stupid was she? She didn't get anything out of it, and instead, she lost her entire life. If I was stupid enough to not know her heart, if I really let her marry an idiot who wanted to take advantage of her, then I would be worse than that idiot. Lin Ruoshi didn't say anything. She listened to him in a daze, holding the coffee cup in her hand. The feeling in her heart was unbearable. Even if she gave up everything, even if she was willing to give up her life, she still didn't ask for anything in return, in comparison. The things she had done for Yang Chung were really pitiful. Yang Chung laughed self-deprecatingly. Sometimes I really feel like I can always pick up meat pies from the sky. All the good things happen to me. Of course, I didn't say that Ruashi isn't good. I just want to make it very clear, I will not let go of the hand of anyone who loves me deeply, because they deserve it. Lin Ruashi raised her head and met Yang Cheng's eyes. Lin Ruashi, I'm very grateful for your company this year. Although it didn't seem to be very good in the end, these memories are really warm, Yang Cheng said with a faint smile. Lin Ruashi's eyes were a little red. Her thoughts were flying. Pieces of memories kept appearing in her mind like black and white. Miss Lin, don't tell me you want me to repay you for bailing me out. I don't have money. I only have my life. Marry me. Miss Lin, please speak clearly. Why do I feel like I'm hallucinating? You're not hallucinating. I said, I want you to marry me. Immediately. Will all marriages without love end up like them? No, at least we won't. If Ruashi baby wants to go to nightclub or bar, just call me. I'm very open. If you want to play, let's play together. Get lost. I'll give you 3 choices. Watch a movie, go shopping, or the aquarium. Where do you want to go? Let's go to the aquarium. I like those tropical fish. They're very beautiful. The aquarium will close very quickly at night. Choose another one. Then go shopping is fine. Shopping? Won't that tire me to death? Then where? To the movies. Then why do you still want me to choose? Can't you just say to go to the movies? Democracy, democracy. Darling, how long do we have left on our contract? 1.5 years. How about shortening it? Less 2 scorpions. After half a year, even if we're the same kind, we'll still be different. After all, we'll be tired of it. I accept. Are you mocking me? Are you mocking me that it doesn't matter who raised me, that I'm a child that no one wants? You're wrong. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter whose daughter you were in the past. What's important is, where are you now? You're my wife now. The heart-wrenching scenes made Lin Ruashi cry uncontrollably. After trying her best to maintain her composure, Lin Ruashi wiped her cheeks. Yang Cheng saw this and smiled calmly. Give it to me. Lin Ruashi reached out her hand. Yang Cheng was stunned. What? Pen? Lin Ruashi said quietly. Don't you want an autograph? The divorce agreement. Yang Cheng was stunned for a moment and asked in a low voice, Ruashi, didn't you cry just now? Why do you want an autograph? Lin Ruashi said in a daze, What do you mean? I've said so much, aren't you moved? Yang Cheng asked with an embarrassed smile. Lin Ruashi's eyes gradually became clear, and she said, Does it matter? Didn't you say you wanted a divorce? Yang Cheng swallowed his saliva, coughed twice, and said with a serious face, Actually, it hasn't been easy for us to come this far. Look at you. You're moved to tears from the memories. If we give up, it would be a pity. At this point, Lin Ruashi finally sorted out her thoughts. The tears in her eyes were covered up, revealing a trace of understanding. With a chuckle, Lin Ruashi said, Is that so? I don't think it's a pity. Give me the pen. The woman reached out again. Yang Cheng quickly put the pen behind his back and shook his head. Think about it carefully. This is not a joke. Yang Cheng, you were the one who asked for a divorce. You wrote the divorce agreement. Are you going back on your word now? Lin Ruashi said with her eyes wide open. Yang Cheng's face was as bitter as a gourd. In the end, he could only slowly take out the pen and hand it to Lin Ruashi. Lin Ruashi snatched the pen and coldly glanced at Yang Cheng. She found the signature column and prepared to write. But before Lin Ruashi could write, the agreement was quickly snatched away by Yang Cheng. What the F***CK? Lin Ruashi, aren't you too cold-hearted? I asked you to sign, and you really signed. I said divorce, and you really divorced? Do you even have a conscience? After hearing such a touching story, don't you feel that your man is very responsible? And don't you feel that the woman is very pitiful? Don't you know how to say, my dear husband, I understand everything, I support you, or something like that? How are you going to let Yonyan and Ning live? It's already like this, and you still won't give them a way out? Why did you sign the divorce agreement? Yang Cheng cried out. wanting to cry, but no tears came out. Lin Ruashi sneered, as if she already knew this would happen. She stroked her hair and said, I don't have that kind of thought. Since you want a divorce, of course I will cooperate with you. You have already messed around with me in front of so many people in the company. What am I still hesitating for? Come on, give me the agreement. Yang Cheng's eyes turned, and without any regard for the consequences, he tore the paper into pieces in front of Lin Ruashi, crumpled it into a ball, and threw it to the side. Why did you tear it? Lin Ruashi asked angrily. Yang Cheng had a blank look on his face and asked in a silly manner, What did I tear it? I didn't do anything. Aren't we here to drink coffee? Cough, cough. Lin Ruashi let out a breath, frowned, and had a speechless expression on her face. I'm really going to die? Why did I meet such a thick-skinned man like you? Even after a year, you're still so bad. You're simply a scoundrel. Yang Cheng held his coffee, turned his head to the side, and looked at the fountain outside the window. He clicked his tongue and pretended to say, Hee, madam. The fountain today is really beautiful. It seems like there's more water than usual. Lin Ruashi stared at his shameless Yang Cheng, gritted her teeth, and wanted to laugh and scold at the same time. In the end, she simply stood up and shouted, Waiter, I want to pay the bill. Hey, pay what bill? I haven't finished drinking yet. Yang Cheng hurriedly turned around and shouted, Drink until you die. Lin Ruashi didn't even bother to wait for the waiter, and directly took out a few red $100 bills and left angrily. How could Yang Cheng sit still? He finished his coffee and wanted to leave, but he saw that Lin Ruashi's Blue Mountain was not finished, so he drank it again and then chased after Lin Ruashi. Yang Cheng chased Lin Ruashi until they were outside the cafe. He smiled and asked, My dear Ruashi, be good, don't be angry. I have no choice. I will follow you wholeheartedly for the rest of my life. Lin Ruashi's anger had mostly dissipated. She didn't feel wronged about the matter with Choi Yun, but she was more dissatisfied with Yang Cheng's tricks. She raised her head and pouted, Forget it, I don't dare to believe a scoundrel like you. Don't. Besides, everyone in the company knows about our relationship now. We just announced that we're husband and wife, and we're going to divorce immediately? How embarrassing. It's not a big deal for me to lose face, but it's a big deal for you, Mr. CEO. Yang Cheng said righteously. You still have the face to say this. Lin Ruashi thought about the crazy rumors about her relationship with Yang Cheng and was about to go crazy. Don't be impulsive. Don't be impulsive. If that's the case. Yang Cheng revealed a serious expression. He suddenly grabbed Lin Ruashi's hand and said, Wife, accompany me to another place. This time, I won't play any tricks. Chapter 683. About 20 minutes later, in a small noodle house on the outskirts of the Western District Market. Due to the poor ventilation and the use of lard, the walls and old tables and chairs in the noodle house were stained with grease. Newspapers and posters of various colors were scattered on the walls, making the whole noodle house look messy. The air was filled with the smell of exhaust gas from the road outside, and the smell of oil from the noodle house, as if the air was white. Since it was past lunchtime, there were only a few people in the noodle house. At the entrance of the noodle house, on both sides of a small square table, Yang Cheng and Lin Ruashi were sitting opposite each other. In front of Yang Cheng, there was a big bowl of noodles that had been emptied, and the second bowl of noodles with shredded pork and pickled cabbage was already in his mouth. He couldn't stop his chopsticks at all. Lin Ruashi stared at the man in front of her, who was wolfing down the food. She bit her lower lip, frowned, and her eyes were full of anger and grievance. She held the chopsticks in her hand, but didn't move at all. She also didn't eat the pickled cabbage noodles in front of her. Halfway through his meal, Yang Cheng drank a mouthful of greasy noodle soup and asked curiously, Honey, why aren't you eating? This noodle house's skills are really good. I used to come here to eat when I was selling mutton skewers. It's a pity that it's not morning, so there's no fresh pig liver. Otherwise, the pig liver noodles would be even better. Lin Ruashi suppressed the anger in her heart and asked while gritting her teeth, You said that there's no tricks, so you brought me here to eat noodles? Yang Cheng laughed and said, Didn't you tell Mother Wong that you wanted to eat pickled cabbage noodles? I remembered it, So I thought of this noodle house. The noodles here are enough and very fragrant. The price is also affordable, 5 yuan a bowl. In those restaurants outside, it can be more than 10 or 20 yuan. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi's expression was getting weirder, Yang Cheng touched the back of his head with his greasy hand and asked, "Why are you looking at me like that? Did you suddenly find that your husband is very considerate?" "Sigh, it's nothing. I haven't had breakfast or lunch. Since I'm hungry, I thought of lunch." Lin Ruoshi kept telling herself that she could not take this man seriously. Otherwise, she would die of anger in the end. She had to calm down. Originally, she thought that this guy would bring her to some romantic place, say some words of comfort, or give her a little surprise. In the end, he actually brought him to this small noodle restaurant to eat noodles. Lin Ruoshi looked around at the dirty walls and saw the napkins and disposable chopsticks scattered on the floor. She wished she could pick up her bag and throw it at the man's head. Yang Cheng pondered for a moment, and a glimmer of understanding flashed in his eyes. He smiled and said, "I've forgotten. Our General Lin has been living a luxurious life since he was young. He's different from a wild child like me who eats both rat and human flesh. Forget it. Since you think this place is dirty, give me the noodles. I can still eat another bowl." As Yang Cheng spoke, he reached out his hand to move the big bowl in front of Lin Ruoshi to his side. Lin Ruoshi hurriedly stopped Yang Cheng with both hands and said angrily, "Are you mocking me for not being able to endure hardship and being spoiled? No, everyone has their own way of living. This is nothing." Yang Cheng smiled easily. "Do you think I can't tell that a man is always beating around the bush? He's narrow-minded." Lin Ruoshi glared at him. She held onto the big bowl, picked up the noodles with her chopsticks, and sent them into her mouth to chew. After eating a mouthful, she said, "If you can eat, I can eat too. Don't look down on me." Yang Cheng could not help but laugh, and said, "Look at how angry you are. Your face is almost puffed up like a bun. I'm just joking. I know you can endure hardships. After all, how can the bitterness in your mouth compare to the bitterness in your heart?" The chopsticks in Lin Ruoshi's hand stopped moving. She pursed her lips and said in a faint voice, "Can you promise me one thing?" Yang Cheng raised his eyebrows. "Promise me, in the future, no matter what the reason is, don't casually mention those unhappy things from the past." Lin Ruoshi looked at Yang Cheng affectionately and said, "I think that will be very sad." Yang Cheng shook his head and smiled. "You mean eating dead human flesh or something like that? I've long since seen through it. It's like I'm living in another world, and it's like something from my previous life. I'm fine." Lin Ruoshi also shook her head and said softly, "No, I will be sad. I don't want you to use your current smile to bring up that kind of experience from the past." Yang Cheng was silent. His gaze met the woman's, and a faint emotion filled his heart. In the end, Yang Cheng laughed heartily and said, "All right, I promise you. Seeing that you're frowning, I won't mention it." Only then did Lin Ruoshi lower her head and continue eating her noodles. Yang Cheng curled his lips and asked, "Wife, today is our wedding anniversary. Last year, today was the day we received our marriage certificate. Are you disappointed that I didn't give you any special gifts?" Lin Ruoshi didn't even raise her head as she said, "Don't you have a gift? That agreement that you tore apart?" Yang Cheng grinned and said, "You're still angry at me." Lin Ruoshi sighed faintly. "I'm not as bored as you are. These things don't matter to me, as long as you don't follow me to the airport next time." Yang Cheng looked embarrassed. He laughed dryly and immediately buried his head in his noodles. Halfway through her meal, Lin Ruoshi suddenly asked, "Qianni's matter, what are you going to do?" Yang Cheng was stunned and asked awkwardly, "Why did you suddenly mention this?" Qianni is often absent-minded at work. "Although I have no reason to support you and her from my standpoint, I don't want my right hand to be affected by personal feelings." Lin Ruoshi said lightly, "I don't want to know what kind of story you have with her, and I won't make any compromises. But I hope that you can resolve this matter as soon as possible." Yang Cheng's expression was slightly bitter as he said, "I don't know how to split myself, so I can only take care of one side and the other. However, I will definitely settle this matter." "But Ruashi, darling, you really can't. Relax the policy a little? Lin Ruashi coldly glanced at him. I've already told you that there are still a few months left in a year's time. I won't take the initiative to reject you. Of course, I also know that I have a lot of shortcomings, so I've been working hard. What about after a year? Yang Cheng asked tentatively. Lin Ruashi's expression changed for a while before she said, Don't ask me. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Yang Cheng was secretly delighted. He didn't know if it was because he had affected Lin Ruashi after talking about the Kai sisters, but Lin Ruashi's attitude was clearly much softer than before. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Then everything was unknown. The human heart was made of flesh. No matter how much Lin Ruashi rejected it, it would be difficult for her to ignore the efforts of other women. After the delayed lunch, Yang Cheng drove Lin Ruashi back to the company. When they arrived at the company's parking lot, Lin Ruashi got out of the car with a nervous expression. She didn't dare to enter the elevator and go upstairs. Yang Cheng suddenly grabbed Lin Ruashi's hand and said with a smile, You're so worried. Isn't it to let everyone know that we're husband and wife? If you don't dare to go in alone, I'll pull you up. Lin Ruashi hurriedly struggled free and said, Forget it. It's embarrassing to be taken away by you like that. You should go to work. I don't think those people would dare to laugh at me. Yang Cheng had a look of certainty on his face. That's true. With General Lin's aura, ordinary people wouldn't dare to take a second look. Let's go if you're done mocking me. Lin Ruashi rolled her eyes at the man and turned to enter the elevator. Before the elevator door closed, Yang Cheng put his hands in his pockets and smiled mysteriously. I'll give you a special gift for our wedding anniversary. Be mentally prepared later. Lin Ruashi was stunned and immediately realized that something special might happen. But before she could ask, the elevator went upstairs. Yang Cheng immediately turned around and took out his mobile phone. He looked through the address book and found Hui Lin's mobile phone number and called it. Because of Yang Cheng's special instructions, Hui Lin must carry her mobile phone with her. So the girl immediately picked up the phone and asked happily, Brother Yang, why did you call me at this time? Have you arrived home? Well, I arrived early. Yang Cheng asked with a smile. Are you busy with work? There are quite a lot of things to do, but the uncles and aunties you introduced are all very professional. They're really amazing, and all the work is progressing very fast and very outstanding. Deputy Director Zhuang Feng was dumbfounded. By the way, what's the matter, Brother Yang? Yang Cheng clicked his tongue and said, Hui Lin, today is a special day, and it's about me and your sister. Although I know you're busy preparing for the concert, I want you to take a few hours to help me with something. Is it about Brother Yang and my sister? Hui Lin was a little puzzled, but she immediately said, I'll definitely be happy to, but because my schedule is very full, I don't know if my agent, Uncle Donnie, will be willing to. Yang Cheng said with a smile. Don't worry, no one dares to refuse my words. At the same time, Lin Ruashi, who was taking the elevator slowly up to her office floor, had a rather strange expression on her face. Because she stopped at a few floors on the way, all the employees and executives who saw her were stunned for a while before they greeted her. Lin Ruashi could feel that the whole company was talking about her and Yang Cheng. This made her, who had always been indifferent, unable to calm down. But to her surprise, she felt a little relieved. Perhaps these things should have been known to the public long ago. Lin Ruashi muttered in her heart. Chapter 684. Yanjing, Yulei Entertainment. Deputy Director Zhuang Feng, who had received the report from his assistant, rushed to the recording studio. In the recording studio, several music producers and Hui Lin's manager, Donnie, were present. Zhuang Feng looked at Hui Lin singing in the recording studio and asked anxiously, Mr. Downey, why is Miss Hui Lin still singing here? According to the schedule, shouldn't she be rehearsing with the dance team? Why did I hear that the rehearsal was canceled? Downey shrugged and said, Deputy Director Zhuang, this is all Mr. Yang's request. He needs Ms. Hui Lin to cooperate with him on something, so she is preparing for it. Mr. Yang? Zhuang Feng was stunned. Is it Director Yang? But how can personal matters be mixed with work? Isn't that a big loss for a small gain? Downey said seriously, I'm sorry, Deputy Director Zhuang. To us, Ms. Huilin's future and career are important, but our primary service target is Mr. Yang. As long as it is Mr. Yang's request, we will fulfill it unconditionally. We don't have the courage to reject Mr. Yang's request." Zhuang Feng was stunned. He felt that his world had been turned upside down. Although he knew that Yang Cheng had a powerful background, he could only sigh when he saw these international masters working for him like servants. No courage? Would he kill them if they didn't fulfill a request? What Zhuang Feng didn't know was that Downey and the others had subconsciously thought so. Zhonghai, the city center. As a leading multinational fashion company, the east side of Yulei International had a large empty area. It was especially prominent in the city center, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. The area was surrounded by busy traffic, but in the middle was a few acres of empty garden-like plaza. In the middle of the plaza was a magnificent man-made fountain. Be it in the morning or in the evening, there would be a large number of people exercising, taking a walk, or resting here. At around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a construction team suddenly arrived at the plaza in a variety of moving vehicles. Under the puzzled gazes of the passing cars and the employees in the office building, the construction team used the various materials they brought to build a frame structure in the plaza. Such an abrupt action naturally attracted the attention of many people. After all, Yulei International was the most iconic enterprise in Zhonghai. This kind of illegal building in front of their door was unacceptable to many of Yulei International's employees. When Yulei International's security team went up to question the construction workers, the originally fierce and imposing manner was withdrawn. This made many people even more flabbergasted. Just what kind of inside story was this? In the CEO's office, Lin Ruoshi had already recovered from the previous embarrassment. After all, there were a lot of things to deal with at hand. She didn't want to think too much about other things and carefully flipped through some documents. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Lin Ruoshi agreed, and Wu Yu, who was in uniform, walked in with a strange expression. "What is it?" Lin Ruoshi asked lightly. Wu Yu was still having a hard time accepting the fact that Lin Ruoshi and Yang Cheng were getting married. When she saw Lin Ruoshi, she was in a daze for a while before she said softly, "General Lin, the plaza outside our company is under construction." "What?" Lin Ruoshi suspected that she had heard wrongly. She stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Looking down from the highest point, she saw a group of people working intensely. She didn't know what they were building. Lin Ruoshi turned around with a sullen expression and said, "Where's the security team? Do you think I hired them to be a freeloader?" Wu Yu looked troubled and said, "The security team has already been there, but they don't dare to interfere. Why?" Lin Ruoshi frowned. "Is it some kind of activity by the government?" "It's not the government," Wu Yu said with difficulty. "They said Director Yang asked them to come." Lin Ruoshi's eyes widened and froze for a while before she touched her forehead. Facing Wu Yu, she was a little unnatural. She gritted her teeth and muttered to herself, "What is he thinking?" "General Lin, now the entire company knows that Director Yang is your husband. If it's him, of course the security guards wouldn't dare to stop him," Wu Yu said softly. When Lin Ruoshi heard this, she felt a headache coming on. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi was deep in thought, Wu Yu couldn't help but feel wronged and said, "General Lin, why did you hide the fact that you and Director Yang are husband and wife from everyone? Even if you don't tell everyone, you can't hide it from me. I used to think that he wasn't a good person. So I'm the one who's been making a fool of myself. He's not a good person to begin with." Lin Ruoshi snorted angrily and said, "I know what happened. I will contact him. Go down and tell everyone to do what they need to do. Don't let me hear any gossip. Whoever delays their work because of some nonsense, just leave." Wu Yu let out a sigh and nodded before retreating. When Wu Yu left, Lin Ruoshi immediately picked up the phone and dialed Yang Cheng's number. However, the response that came was that his phone was turned off. It was very obvious that Yang Cheng had expected Lin Ruoshi to question him, so he turned off his phone in advance. Lin Ruoshi almost dropped the phone on the ground. She was so angry that she stomped her feet on the carpet a few times and said through gritted teeth, "Damn Yang Cheng, "Stinky Yang Chung, you can do whatever you want. Just anger me to death." But when she thought of the special wedding anniversary gift that Yang Chung mentioned, Lin Ruoshi couldn't help but look forward to it. That guy, what exactly was he going to do? In anticipation and frustration, Lin Ruoshi dejectedly sat back in her seat. Time passed minute by minute. The plaza was originally a densely packed area. After more and more people noticed the strange scene here, the public opinion also increased. In the evening, the sky was cloudy again, and the light gradually dimmed. The construction in the plaza finally took shape. It was actually a stage of about 100 square meters. This day for the employees of Yulei International was filled with all kinds of miracles. First, they suddenly found out that CEO Lin Ruoshi was secretly married to the director, Yang Chung. Then the CEO's husband, Yang Chung, actually inexplicably built a stage in the plaza below the building. In the Yulei International building, the employees were already preparing to get off work. Many of them were curious about what the stage was for. But at this moment, on every floor, some employees exclaimed loudly. The employees in the building asked each other and found out that many of them had received an email from Yang Chung when it was almost time to get off work. The content of the email was very clear. All employees of Yulei are welcome to enjoy Yang Chung and Lin Ruoshi's special wedding anniversary gift after work. Wedding anniversary. All the employees were excited. This was another exciting piece of news. After all, Lin Ruoshi, the CEO, had always been high and mighty. She was too mysterious. Everyone was curious about any news. Unexpectedly, not only did they find out that she was married today, but it was also their wedding anniversary. None of the employees had the intention to get off work and go home. They even called their friends and relatives to come to the plaza, rushing to see this wedding anniversary gift. In the CEO's office, Lin Ruoshi was about to collapse. Looking at the email that she also received, Lin Ruoshi's face was red, and her face was full of helplessness. This scoundrel, what is he trying to do? Lin Ruoshi speechlessly walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Looking at the already built stage in the plaza below, she was in a daze. Following that, as the employees received the news one after another, a large number of Yulei employees ran out to the plaza and surrounded the stage, waiting for the appearance of the gift. When they got closer to the stage, the employees realized that there were not only lights on the stage, but also a set of audio and video equipment. In particular, there was a large projection screen, as if a movie was going to be played. As more and more onlookers appeared, many pedestrians and even cars stopped by the side, and many passersby ran out, curious about what was going to happen. The white-collar workers in the nearby office buildings were also curious about what the people from Yulei International were watching. As a result, Yulei Square, which wasn't that big, was completely filled with people. When the employees of Yulei International told the onlookers that this was a special event organized by the CEO Lin Ruoshi and her husband for the first anniversary of their wedding, the flames of gossip were ignited. Many people screamed for the performance to start quickly, and some people shouted for Lin Ruoshi to come down. At this moment, not only was Wei Yu in Lin Ruoshi's office, but also Mo Qianni and Lu Mingyu came in. However, none of the four women said a word. They all stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the intense crowd below. Finally, half an hour after the end of work, a figure easily squeezed through the crowd and climbed onto the high stage, amidst everyone's anticipation. This person was, of course, Yang Chung, who had been preparing for the whole afternoon. Yang Chung seemed to not care about the noisy onlookers around him. After fiddling with the various equipment on the stage for a while, he turned on the speakers and took a microphone. After adjusting the volume to be able to suppress the crowd, he coughed twice and said proudly, "I think many people have helped me explain what happened here. Actually, I'm a very shy person, but I'm afraid that my wife will say that I'm not sincere and romantic for our first anniversary, so I reluctantly stood on the stage. But if anyone intends to leave the ticket money after watching the show, I won't blame him." The crowd burst into laughter, and some people laughed out loud. The employees of Yulei International were the most excited. Even in the crowd, the women from Yulei's public relations department, as well as Zhao Teng, Wang Jie, and other subordinates of Yang Cheng were laughing uncontrollably. Yang Cheng looked up at the rooftop of Yulei and said, "But it seems that my wife is even more shy than me. She doesn't dare to come down to see this gift up close." As soon as he said that, everyone immediately shouted, "Go downstairs! Go downstairs! Go downstairs!" Although they were separated by dozens of floors and listening through an open window, even if they could only hear faintly, they would know what was happening down there. Lin Ruashi's face was as red as jade, and her heart was beating rapidly. At this moment, she was not in the mood to blame Yang Cheng for messing around. She only felt that her body was soft, and it was difficult for her to breathe. Beside her, Emo Chini pulled Lin Ruashi's hand sourly and said, "Go down. If you don't go down after this, it will hurt his heart too much. Of course, if you want to give me and Mingyu an opportunity, we will be happy to." Lu Mingyu rolled her eyes at Emo Chini and said, "Why did you drag me into this? I didn't think that way." Lin Ruashi looked at them and pursed her lips. "I'm not as sensitive as you think. I just don't want to embarrass that person too much." After saying that, Lin Ruashi seemed to have mustered up her courage and walked out with her head lowered. Emo Chini and Lu Mingyu looked at each other and shook their heads with a bitter smile. It would be a lie to say that they were not jealous, but they also knew that all this was done for Lin Ruashi. A few minutes later, Lin Ruashi's figure appeared at the entrance of the building. The employees of Yulei International voluntarily made way for her and applauded loudly. Especially when they saw that even Lin Ruashi was blushing, many of them whistled. Standing at this distance, although it was not very close, they could already see Yang Cheng on the stage and hear the sound of the speakers clearly. Lin Ruashi tried hard not to pay attention to the crowd around her. She looked at Yang Cheng from afar and complained about Yang Cheng's shortcomings in her heart. She muttered to herself about how to deal with him when she got back, but she could not hide the anticipation in her heart. Yang Cheng looked around the stage. Seeing that Lin Ruashi had no intention of going any closer, he did not force her. He ran to the side and turned on the projector on the stage. Under the puzzled gaze of the crowd, a clear image appeared on the screen on the stage. What surprised many people was that it was a remote video. The person in the video was none other than the super newcomer, Lin Hui, who had become popular recently, especially in the past 2 days. In the video, Lin Hui's expression was rather nervous. She was in Beijing, so she was rather nervous to meet everyone through video. Many of the audience below the stage were Lin Hui's fans. As soon as she appeared, the cheers were deafening. Only then did Yang Cheng face the crowd and said loudly, "Next, I will be singing a duet with Miss Lin Hui, whom everyone is familiar with. Although this song is not my original composition, I feel that it suits the time we have spent together over the past year. Everyone, please be quiet." The audience below the stage was very cooperative. After all, it was the couple's wedding anniversary, and Lin Hui was the CEO of Yulei International. They had to show some respect, so they immediately quietened down. Lin Ruashi was already pleasantly surprised to see Hui Lin. When she heard that she was going to sing a duet with Yang Cheng for her, she was especially touched. She knew that Hui Lin must have taken time out of her busy schedule to do this. As for Yang Cheng's choice to sing, Lin Ruashi was not too surprised. When she went to the KTV with Yuan Yi and Tang Dang, she had witnessed Yang Cheng's extraordinary singing skills. It was also then that she revealed her tone-deaf nature. Standing behind Lin Ruashi, Lu Mingyu asked Emo Chini in confusion, "Chini, why not let General Lin sing a duet with him? Wouldn't that be more in line with the theme?" With a weird smile, Emo Chini moved closer to Lu Mingyu and whispered in her ear, "Ruashi has been famous for her tone-deaf ever since she was in school." Fortunately, Lin Ruashi's attention was focused on the stage. Otherwise, she would have run away if she had heard the conversation between the two girls. At this moment, Yang Cheng and Hui Lin, who was singing through the remote communication device, finally started singing after the accompaniment sounded. "The path we have walked is a magic trick. Take everything, the good, the bad, and make it mine. The bitterness in my heart, even if I don't remember, turn into this gaze and sing a song." And you, like the noisy sound of water flowing into the poem knocking on the door of my heart, embracing all the hate nourishing the dryness, believing that I can be yours, as if I could still see the sad face from yesterday happiness is like a slap in the face. Sometimes you are the one who reminded me not to be afraid to fantasize about the longing in my heart that I'm used to avoiding. As if I could see the corridor with two sets of footprints tomorrow's sadness is sometimes seasoned like sugar by. You are the one who holds me tight and looks forward looking at the flowers blooming in my heart. The bright and melodious melody was hovering over the square. When Yang Cheng's loud voice combined with Hui Lin's ethereal and delicate tone, everyone was immersed in the memories of the ups and downs of a relationship. No one shouted, no one laughed loudly, and no one felt that this was a comedy. The men and women present seemed to have seen a couple quarreling with each other. There was sweetness and sadness, happiness and pain, but because of each other, they supported each other, encouraged each other, and walked all the way to this stage, standing on the spot. Lin Ruoshi covered half of her face with one hand. Tears kept flowing down her cheeks, and she was sobbing uncontrollably. Perhaps, after tonight, the two of them would still have a Cold War, and there would still be arguments and countless problems. However, just like the song said, no matter what, because of love, they would write each other into the lyrics in their hearts. Chapter 685. As the singing gradually faded, the crowd in the plaza of Yulei once again let out all kinds of screams and shouts, as if they had just listened to a superstar's concert. At the same time that Hui Lin's singing was once again recognized, many people were also moved by this scene and wanted to continue enjoying this atmosphere. However, someone suddenly shouted the words "kiss," and the entire audience had a new slogan to shout. Kiss, kiss. In this empty space in the city center, the shouts that seemed to shake the surrounding steel forest erupted. Yang Cheng stood on the stage with a smile, and his heart was filled with joy. Who said that people in a modern city were cold? These brothers and sisters were very loyal, and were looking for opportunities to be intimate with him. Lin Ruoshi, who was standing outside the entrance of Yulei International, was different. If it wasn't for the fact that she was afraid of embarrassing herself, she would have turned around and run away immediately. Kiss? In front of hundreds and thousands of people. Even if it was two people together, they would still be shy. How could they stand such an occasion? Besides, there were a large number of Yulei employees in the plaza. If they stared at her and kissed her, how could she face them in the future? Just when Lin Ruoshi's face was red, and she didn't know what to do, the situation suddenly changed. A few ear-piercing sirens cut through the noise here, only to hear the woo-woo sound of police cars coming from two intersections far away near the plaza. Regardless of the traffic lights, they directly rushed to the side of the plaza and stopped. Immediately after that, from the 7 or 8 police cars, dozens of fierce-looking police officers in police uniforms came out, holding batons in their hands, and even pistols at their waists, aggressively rushing over. What's going on? Is this an illegal gathering? Everyone disperse. Disperse. Who built this stage? Who started it? When the crowd saw the fierce-looking police officers rushing over, they immediately lost their backbone. When they heard that it was an illegal gathering, it was against the law, they immediately scattered in all directions. For a moment, the plaza was in a mess. All kinds of curses were heard, and no one wanted to continue listening to the song or jeering. Wu Yu, who was standing behind Lin Ruoshi, said anxiously, "General Lin, this is bad. It must be because of Director Yang's scene just now, which caused the surrounding traffic to be congested. Also, there's so many people shouting in the city center all of a sudden. Some citizens must be unhappy and reported it." Lin Ruoshi didn't look shy anymore. She was originally feeling a little sweet for Yang Cheng's wedding anniversary, but who knew that it would become an illegal gathering not long after? Someone even reported him. Sure enough, that man would never let people not worry about him. Ruoshi, if this goes on, they'll find out that Yulei is the cause. If we don't handle it well, it will greatly damage our corporate image and cause social dissatisfaction. We have to think of a way to calm it down. Mo Chinni said worriedly. Lin Ruoshi nodded. I know. Wait for Yang Chung to come over and let him explain himself. We just need to communicate with the media, and I believe the police won't make things too difficult for us. I don't think he'll come to explain, Lu Mingyu said with a bitter smile. He already ran away. Lu Mingyu pointed to the stage. Lin Ruoshi looked over and almost fainted from anger. Indeed, Yang Chung, who was there just a moment ago, had already disappeared, leaving the empty stage standing in the middle. How could he run away by himself? Lin Ruoshi didn't think too much about how Yang Chung escaped. With Yang Cheng's ability, running away from the crowd was definitely very easy. The key was, didn't this mean that she had to deal with a mess? At this moment, Lin Ruoshi felt her phone vibrate. She picked it up and saw that it was indeed a message from Yang Chung. Reading the message, Lin Ruoshi wanted to smash her phone. Mo Qianyi and Lu Mingyu went forward to take a look. They both had a strange expression on their faces. They wanted to laugh, but they didn't dare to. Wife, I performed so handsomely on stage today. If I end up being forced off the stage by the police, it would be too embarrassing. In order to ensure that the performance is perfect, I will retreat behind the scenes first. You can hold the line. I believe you can do it. Happy first anniversary, Yang Chung. Yang Chun. Lin Ruoshi clenched her teeth and said it again. She had a headache and rubbed her forehead. She didn't know what to say anymore. At this time, the police had indeed found out that the source was Yulei International. A police officer brought 2 police officers and came in front of Lin Ruoshi and the others. The leading police officer said with a serious expression, "Excuse me, this must be Yulei's General Lin, right?" Lin Ruoshi couldn't avoid it, so she could only nod in response. The police officer was obviously a little nervous in front of Lin Ruoshi, but he still said in a businesslike manner, "We just received a report from many citizens saying that there was an illegal gathering here and the noise was too loud. And because it happened to be rush hour, and this is the city center, it seriously affected the normal traffic and life of the citizens. So we will thoroughly investigate the real mastermind of this matter. According to the situation at the scene, the mastermind is a senior member of your Yulei International. Whether this is true or not, please explain, General Lin." Lin Ruoshi cursed a certain someone 1,000 times in her heart, but at this moment, she could only say to the police officer, "This matter was indeed started by a senior member of our company, but it was just a private event without any malicious intent. It wasn't an illegal gathering. Everyone present can testify to this. General Lin, you are a famous person in Zhonghai's business world. I have a lot of respect for you, but I hope that you can cooperate with our police work. This matter must be investigated clearly, otherwise it won't be fair to the citizens. I hope that you can tell us exactly who the mastermind is, what his position is, and what's the reason. We will arrest that person, interrogate him, and then deal with him," the police officer said seriously. Upon hearing that they were going to arrest him, Mo Qianyi and Lu Mingyu revealed nervous expressions. Lin Ruoshi bit her lips and cursed in her heart. "Damn Yang Chung, stinky Yang Chung, what a mess. He ran away after he was done playing. What should I do? Not only did I become a suspect, but I'm also a suspect on the run." Just when Lin Ruoshi was at her wit's end, the police officer received a phone call. After saying a few words to the person on the other side of the phone, the police officer suddenly smiled and said, "General Lin, our chief just called. The matter has been resolved. Thank you for your cooperation. Goodbye." After saying that, the police officer turned around and left with his men, running around the square to disperse the crowd and vehicles. This change made Lin Ruoshi and the others stunned again. This change was too fast. Lin Ruoshi's phone vibrated again. This time, the call gave Lin Ruoshi a clue. Picking up the phone, Yang Jiyu's voice came from the other side. She laughed and said, "Ruoshi, you must be shocked. Yang Chung suddenly told me that there's some trouble. I've already contacted the police. As for the media, with your ability, it's not difficult to control it, so I won't interfere." Lin Ruoshi was a little surprised that Yang Chung would actually look for Yang Jiyu to resolve this problem. After all, Yang Chung didn't take the initiative to build a relationship with the Yang family. With the Yuan family's connections in Zhonghai, of course, these problems could be easily resolved. But Lin Ruoshi still thanked her gently. Sorry to trouble you. Yang Jiu's smile became wider. Child, why are you so polite? No matter what, I'm your aunt. It's not a big deal. Oh, right. I didn't even know that today is your and Yang Cheng's wedding anniversary, so I didn't prepare any gifts. Please don't be angry. No, I won't. Lin Ruoshi was a little confused. She didn't know why she always felt a little nervous when facing the Yang family. After chatting for a while more, they hung up. Lin Ruoshi let out a long sigh of relief, as if she had experienced a heart-pounding journey. Mo, Qianyi smiled. Did Yang Cheng do something again? There's no problem now? Yeah, at least he has a conscience. I thought he really didn't care. Lu Mingyu giggled. Wu Yu asked curiously. General Lin, it's settled just like that? Lin Ruoshi nodded, thought for a while, then calmed down and said, Wu Yu, contact all the mainstream media and tell them not to write nonsense. Tell them directly. If anyone dares to write nonsense or expose anything without my permission, I don't mind buying their company. You know what to do. Okay. Wu Yu hurriedly expressed that she understood, then ran back to the company to carry out her orders. Up until this point, the matter was settled smoothly and didn't cause too much trouble. About an hour later, Lin Ruoshi, who had arranged everything, finally returned home in Shanshan. When she entered the living room, the sumptuous dinner on the table was still untouched. Guo Xuehua, Mother Wang, and Jinxiu were all sitting on the sofa watching the new season's Korean drama. As for Yang Cheng, he was nowhere to be seen. Seeing Lin Ruoshi enter the door, Guo Xuehua smiled happily and stood up, saying, Ruoshi, you're finally back. Yang Cheng said you might be a little late. We're all waiting. When Lin Ruoshi heard that, she realized that the scoundrel had indeed arrived home. The hidden bitterness that she had just suppressed rose again. She asked, Mom, where is he? Seeing that Lin Ruoshi didn't look happy, Guo Xuehua asked curiously, Child, what's wrong with you? You don't look happy. Yang Cheng said that today is your wedding anniversary. Why do you look unhappy? Lin Ruoshi forced a smile. It's not that. I'm a little tired. She thought to herself, I was quite happy at first, but your precious son made me happy and then made a fool out of me. Zhenxiu ran behind Lin Ruoshi, hugged Lin Ruoshi's slender waist, and said with a smile, Sister Ruoshi, you're so stingy, you didn't even tell us about your wedding anniversary. If it wasn't for Brother Yang rushing back from Beijing, we would have missed it. You're so troublesome. Lin Ruoshi patted Jinxiu's head dotingly, pursing her lips into a smile. Wedding anniversary? Who would have thought that the two of them almost divorced in the afternoon? At this moment, Yang Cheng, who looked like he had just taken a cold shower, walked down from the second floor, his hair still a little wet. Seeing that Lin Ruoshi was home, he chuckled, Wife, I'm quite loyal, right? I even waited for you to come home before eating. Loyal? Lin Ruoshi couldn't wait to throw her bag at him and smash his face. How could this person be so thick-skinned? She rolled her eyes at Yang Cheng, implying that he should know better in his heart. Suppressing her dissatisfaction, she sat down with Guo Xuehua and the others. Since Yang Cheng had specially instructed Mother Wang to eat first, the dinner was especially sumptuous, but eating aside, the topic of conversation was more about Yang Cheng and Lin Ruoshi's marriage. Guo Xuehua asked with concern, You two have been married for a year, but you still haven't held a wedding ceremony. Since it's been announced to the public, why don't you find a date to hold it? Whether it's in Zhonghai or Beijing, I think it's a good idea. That's right, miss. It's not a good idea to drag it on like this. Mother Wang agreed. When Lin Ruoshi heard the word wedding, a trace of embarrassment appeared on her face. To be honest, although Yang Cheng had made her gnash her teeth in hatred at the end of the day, deep down in her heart, she was still surprised and touched by this gift. Moreover, their relationship had been made public. From tomorrow onwards, more and more people would know about their relationship, and holding a wedding, it seemed like it wasn't a bad idea. It's not the time yet, Yang Cheng suddenly said. This sentence pulled Lin Ruoshi back from her thoughts, and she looked at the man beside her in surprise. Yang Cheng nibbled on a chicken leg and said with a smile, Don't think too much. I want to hold a wedding, but there are still some preparations that I haven't finished. There are still a lot of things that I need to deal with. It won't be too late to hold it when the time is right. Anyway, it's been a year, so it doesn't matter if I delay it a little longer. Lin Ruashi's face didn't change, but she felt a little disappointed in her heart. This made her feel a little disappointing. Do I really care that much? If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. However, Yang Chung seemed to have noticed something. He raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile, "Darling Ruashi, you seem to be very disappointed. Could it be that you can't help it?" TSK, TSK. If that's the case, then just say it. At most, I'll change the plan and we'll do it immediately. Who's disappointed? Lin Ruashi's ears were burning red. She widened her moist eyes and said angrily, "Don't talk nonsense. I don't care whether you do it or not. I've got a lot of work scheduled for the next 2 years. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not." Listening to the couple's conversation, Guo and Mother Wang looked at each other and shook their heads with a wry smile. Yangqing didn't argue with them. He finished the chicken leg in his hand and took another one. After a moment of silence, he suddenly said to Guo, "Mom, I plan to make a trip to Beijing in a few days." Hearing this, everyone at the table stopped what they were doing and looked at Yang Chung with a puzzled expression. Lin Ruashi was quick-witted. She immediately thought of something and lowered her head in silence. Guo asked, "Son, do you have something to deal with again? I've only been back for 2 days." Yang Chung shook his head. "I'm not going immediately. I still have a lot of things to do in Zhonghai. I plan to bring Ruashi home when I'm free." Hearing this, Guo eyes lit up. Her hand holding the chopsticks was trembling. She asked excitedly, "Really? You're willing to go back to the Yang family?" "Yes." Yang Chung nodded and said with a smile, "This time I'm going to Beijing. That old man conveyed some meaning to me. I've also encountered some problems and figured some things out. Although I haven't made up my mind yet, I think I should go back to that family and make a decision." Guo eyes reddened. She nodded repeatedly and smiled with a gratified expression. When she decided to leave Yang Pejuan and live with Yang Chung, she had made up her mind. Even so, she still felt guilty towards the Yang family, especially toward her father-in-law, Yang Gongming. If Yang Chung could really go back to the Yang family, then she wouldn't have to accompany Yang Chung anymore. Not only could she fulfill her responsibility as a mother, but she could also take care of her father-in-law. For Guo, reuniting with her family was what she wanted the most. I'm going too." When Lin Ruashi heard that Yang Chung would bring her along, her heart skipped a beat. She was happy and excited, but there was also a sense of awe and worry. She didn't know what to do. Yang Chung said matter-of-factly, "Of course you have to go. We have a stamp and a certificate. If you don't go, who else will? Besides, when that old man saw you last time, didn't he like you very much? You should be very happy." Lin Ruashi pursed her lips and stole a glance at Guo. Seeing Guo looking at her encouragingly, she nodded. Chapter 686. After dinner, Guo and Mother Wang continued to watch Korean dramas downstairs, which made Yang Chung feel rather helpless. Ever since Lin Ruashi brought these two elders into that realm, it was as if they were stuck in a quagmire, unable to climb out. Not to mention anything else, recently, even the meals began to add all kinds of kimchi, which made Yang Chung feel conflicted. On the other hand, Jinxiu liked it very much. She was half Korean, and although she didn't like her relatives in Korea, she was still able to accept the food. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, Yang Chung could only slowly walk upstairs, intending to return to his room and sleep early. Just as he reached the door, Yang Chung turned around and was surprised to see Lin Ruashi following behind him with a complicated expression. Seeing Yang Chung turn around, Lin Ruashi stopped in her tracks. Her eyes flickered, as if she had something on her mind but didn't dare to say it out loud. Yang Chung sized up the woman for a while and said with an evil smile, "Darling Ruashi, you're following me like this. Are you touched by me and want to sleep with me tonight?" "No way," Lin Ruashi hurriedly denied. "Then what are you doing? If you have something to say, just say it." Yang Chung smiled helplessly. Lin Ruashi took a deep breath and asked in a clear voice, "Are you planning to go back?" "Go back." Yang Chung thought for a moment and said with a smile, "Go back to the Yang family?" "That's right. Didn't I say it when we were eating?" "It's not that. Lin Ruoshi sighed. I mean, you've already planned to return to the Yang family, right? The smile on Yang Cheng's face disappeared. He silently stared at the woman for a while and asked, "Why do you say that?" Lin Ruoshi turned her head and said in a faint voice, "You used to try your best to avoid getting involved with the Yang family. But today, since you took the initiative to contact that person, then you're taking the initiative to open the gap. I can't think of any other reason why you would do that. You don't seem to like this possibility. Isn't it good to let you become the mistress of a big family?" Yang Chung said with a smile that wasn't a smile. "I've never thought about that, nor do I have any thoughts of benefiting from the Yang family," Lin Ruoshi said lightly. "Don't be so serious. Things haven't been settled yet. I'm just making a preliminary plan." Yang Chung comforted. Lin Ruoshi shook her head. "I know. Once you make up your mind, you won't change your mind. I'm just worried that if you go back, then that Yang Lai and then that Commander Yang will do something extreme. Even if Mr. Yang supports you, it will still cause a big fuss. After all, you're related by blood. When the time comes, I'll be stuck in the middle. It'll be very confusing and sad." Yang Chung smiled warmly and said, "How do you know I won't change? I'm very accommodating to your thoughts." Lin Ruoshi rolled her eyes at him and pouted slightly. "Don't think that I don't know. You really don't listen to anyone when you're determined to do something. Just like signing the agreement today. If you really want to divorce me, you don't need to write any agreement. You can just leave. I just know how to play some tricks to coax people, but I don't care what they think." Yang Chung rubbed the bridge of his nose and laughed awkwardly. "So you already knew? I only understood later on that it was your trap from the beginning." Lin Ruoshi said bitterly. "It's so unpleasant to hear. Didn't I do all this so that you can listen to me clearly?" Yang Chung chuckled and strolled in front of Lin Ruoshi. He suddenly opened his arms and slowly embraced the woman. The warm and soft body emitted a fragrance that seeped into the nose, causing Yang Chung to close his eyes and exhale in relief. Lin Ruoshi didn't choose to retreat like before. Although it was a little strange, she didn't reject this kind of action. Leaning against Yang Cheng's chest, Lin Ruoshi could feel the scorching breath in her ears. Yang Cheng's sigh made Lin Ruoshi feel a little sad. If it was in the past, Yang Cheng would definitely not be honest and make a move. But at this moment, he just hugged her and didn't do anything. "I know what you're worried about, and I also know that things might be more complicated than you think," Yang Cheng said in a leisurely voice. "However, there are some things that even if I don't do them, they will still come knocking on my door. I won't act rashly. After all, I'm not alone like I was before. I'm the same as you. I like the feeling of being together as a family." Lin Ruoshi hesitated for a moment, but she still grabbed Yang Cheng's back from the bottom up and tightened her grip. After a long time, Yang Cheng let go of his arms and smiled. "Don't worry about those things. Those are the problems that the men in the family should deal with. If you have time, you should think more about us. Ruoshi, look at how beautiful the moon is tonight. Come into my room and sleep." It was originally just a joke, but who knew that after Lin Ruoshi heard it, she actually looked at him with an incomparably complicated expression. Then, as if she had made up her mind, she bit her lips and said, "Do you really want it? Sometimes, when something that you've been looking forward to for a long time suddenly appeared in front of you, you would be caught unprepared." Yang Chung suspected that he had heard wrongly and asked stiffly, "What did you say?" Lin Ruoshi blushed, and her eyes were like water as she said, "If you really want it tonight, I can give it a try." After saying that, Lin Ruoshi seemed to have exhausted all her strength, and her body was so soft that it almost melted to the ground. Without a doubt, for someone as conservative as her, this was already the limit of her expression. Perhaps it was because they had indeed been together for a long time, or perhaps it was because of today's great ups and downs, or perhaps it was because of the accumulation of feelings over the years. But in short, her heart didn't seem to reject that kind of relationship. Yang Chung stared at the woman for a long time in a daze, and then smiled. "I was just saying it casually. How could I be so casual? Besides, looking at you like this, I can tell that you're not ready. Didn't I say that when we're ready, we'll hold the wedding ceremony? It won't be too late then." Otherwise, no matter how I look at it, it feels like I've forcefully snatched a bandit's wife. What's the point of signing a certificate? Hearing this, a trace of emotion flashed across Lin Ruashi's face. She raised her head and took the initiative to lean forward and kiss Yang Chung on the cheek. After the kiss, she seemed to be extremely shy and immediately turned around to run back to her room. Yang Chung stood on the spot and smiled bitterly as he touched the part of his face that was kissed. It was still moist and had a lingering fragrance. Yang Chung, oh Yang Chung, you're a pig. Why are you pretending to be noble and virtuous at a time like this? Why are you pretending to be a good man? Yang Chung stood there and shook his head as he muttered to himself and then returned to his room. Originally, he had planned to lie on the bed and watch the news for a while before going to sleep. However, when Lin Ruashi mentioned those things, it was inevitable that some distracting thoughts appeared in his mind. Yang Chung stood still for a moment, then walked to the balcony outside the room. The warm wind in the air blew across his face. In the quiet night sky, there was a delicate crescent moon that was as white as snow. Yang Chung stood still for a while. Suddenly, from the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of white drifting in the air. He looked to his left and saw that not far away, on the second-floor balcony of Qiang Wei's house next door, there was a beautiful figure standing gracefully on the balcony railing. It was Mo Chinny. The lonely woman was wearing a white cotton nightgown that reached her knees. Her fine black hair was loosely draped over her shoulders and fluttered in the wind. The woman's delicate side profile was facing the moonlight in the sky. She looked a little pale and absent-minded. As if sensing that someone was looking at her, the woman turned her head and happened to meet Yang Cheng's gaze. The two of them looked at each other in silence for a long time. Only the sound of the wind blowing through the gap in the house could be heard. In the end, it was Mo Chinny who calmly smiled as if she was amused by the silence. Yang Cheng couldn't help but feel a piercing pain in his heart. The two of them were only separated by about 10 meters, but it was as if there was a bottomless abyss between them that was impossible to cross. Just a few weeks ago, the two of them were even lovers who were stuck together like glue. Yang Cheng wanted to say something to Mo Chinny, but before Yang Cheng could open his mouth, Mo Chinny made a shush gesture. Mo Chinny smiled and shook her head. It was unknown whether she was afraid that Ma Guifeng would know that the two of them met, or whether she felt that there was no need to say anything. Then, she pointed at the bright moon in the sky, then turned around and continued to look at the sky, as if she was in a daze. Yang Cheng stared at her for a long time in disappointment. He laughed at himself. He didn't think that the two of them would even have such difficulty talking. Only then did he turn around and raise his head to enjoy the moonlight with the woman. Chapter 687. Beijing, in the backyard of the Yang family. Although it was only the middle of May, the temperature during the day was very mild. After the early morning dusk dispersed, the lush green plants burst out with vitality, making the entire courtyard look pleasing to the eye. At the same time, the air was also filled with a faint fragrance. As usual, Yang Gongming was wearing a relatively thin shirt and trousers. After leisurely watering a few newly obtained wisteria, he walked to the stone table in his cloth shoes. He picked up a cup of red ginseng tea that had already been brewed and took a sip. Looking at the beautiful plants in the courtyard, the old man happily laughed to himself. At this moment, a tall and straight young man, wearing a short-sleeved military uniform, walked into the courtyard. Between his dignified brows, there were traces of arrogance and unruliness. The young man walked behind Yang Gongming and looked at the flowers and plants. A trace of disdain flashed across his eyes, but it disappeared in a flash. Then he smiled and said, "Grandfather, you called for me." The person who came was Yang Lai. Yang Gongming turned around and chuckled. "Oh, you're here. Come, sit down." After Yang Gongming invited Yang Lai to sit down, he pushed a plate of exquisite pastries in front of Yang Lai and said, "Try this. You probably haven't eaten breakfast yet, right? It tastes pretty good." Yang Lai nodded, picked up a piece of mung bean cake, opened his mouth, and swallowed it all. He didn't eat a second piece and directly asked, "Grandfather, why did you suddenly call me back today? Is there something important?" Actually, I should have told you about this a few days ago, but you weren't in the army, so I wasn't in a hurry to tell you. Your mother called a few days ago and said that she would be back in Beijing after a while. Yang Gongming said with a smile. Yang Lai frowned. Mom is coming back. Is she alone? Yang Gongming shook his head. No, your brother and sister-in-law will also come. What? Yang Lai suddenly stood up and said loudly, Grandpa, are you joking with me? Why can that guy enter this house? If that's the case, I'd rather Mom not come back. Yang Gongming frowned and gestured for Yang Lai to sit down. Why are you so agitated? I didn't call you here to ask for your permission. In this family, my words count. Whether you agree or not, they will come back. Grandpa, you. Yang Lai gnashed his teeth in hatred, but he couldn't say anything. Indeed, in this family, no one could refute Yang Gongming's decision. Yang Gongming sighed and said, Liar, your temperament is just like your name, too unyielding. Young man, it's good to have a bit of temper, but if you go on like this, sooner or later you'll be too hard and easily broken. Humph, Yang Lai snorted coldly, obviously not agreeing. Grandpa, did you call me here today just to tell me this boring news? Yang Gongming wasn't angry and said, I just wanted to tell you, and also call you here to see you. Your father is in the Jiangnan military district all year round and doesn't come back. You're also in the military now and live outside. You're all people with your own thoughts. I'm just an old man, so I can't really force you to do anything. Everything depends on your own life choices. However, I hope that when I'm alive, all of you, my descendants, can live as well as possible. Yang Lai's expression changed for a while and said, Grandpa, if it wasn't for that guy, my life would be perfect. Yang Gongming looked up and glanced at him, then shook his head with a smile. Whether you admit it or not, Yang Cheng is your biological brother. You've grown up in the Yang family's background, and you've also been accepted as a direct disciple by Kunlun's Taoist Yujizi. Compared to Yang Cheng, your life is really good and smooth. Yang Cheng is different from you. It's already a blessing from the heavens that he can reappear in front of us alive. Although I don't believe in gods or Buddha, I believe that there's fate between people, and it's the will of the heavens. Grandpa, if this is all you want to say to me, I'll take my leave first. Yang Lai couldn't bear to listen anymore and said unhappily. Yang Gongming opened his mouth. A trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes, and he sighed, Forget it. You won't listen no matter what I say. It's your own path to choose. If you want to go, then go. Yang Lai bowed slightly, turned around and was about to leave, but after a few steps, he stopped and said, Grandpa, I know what you're thinking. I admit that fellow's strength is indeed stronger than mine, and you want to use him to revitalize the Yang family. But let me tell you very clearly, I won't hand over what's rightfully mine. One day, you'll know that your choice was completely wrong. In the end, it's still uncertain who will emerge victorious, so I'll take my leave first. Even if Mother returns, I won't meet them. With that, Yang Lai strode out of the courtyard. Yang Gongming narrowed his eyes, and his gaze flickered, full of inscrutability. Unbeknownst to him, Yin Sanyang's hunched figure once again appeared behind Yang Gongming and comforted him. Master, young Master Lai's personality has always been like this. I'm afraid it'll be difficult to change. Master, you don't have to worry too much. They're blood brothers after all. There'll always be a way to resolve the enmity. Yang Gongming chuckled. Sanyang, you're overthinking. I'm not sad because of these things. No matter what happens to the younger ones in the future, it's their own choice. If a family wants to continue, it doesn't rely on the elders to restrain them, but on their own temperament. No matter what the outcome is, I'll just watch from the side and say a few words at most. Yin Sanyang smiled and nodded, then said, Master, young Master Lai's body is a little different. Yang Gongming said, Is it related to Yin Buan? Yin Sanyang said, This old one guesses that it should be so. Although I'm not sure how exactly it was done, young Master Lai's cultivation was crippled by young Master Chen a few days ago. Now, instead of retreating, his cultivation is a level higher than before, and he's about to break through to the innate stage. What's even more amazing is that young Master Lai's body seems to have been reborn. If I'm not wrong, The strength of his body is comparable to young Master Chen's. It's really unimaginable. Recently, young Master Lai and Yin Buin have been rather close. If there's a problem, it should be with the Yin family. It's said that other than the underground research base provided by the military, Yin Buin has other private research bases, but even the Li family couldn't find out the truth. According to my guess, Yin Buin should have the help of someone with terrifying strength. Otherwise, Yin Buin wouldn't have risked universal condemnation. Yang Gongming's lips curled into a smile. I've said it before, that kid from the Yin family is a king when he wins and a thief when he loses. It's not surprising. Actually, the four big families are more or less aware of Yin Buin's movements these days. However, the Yin family has considerable strength, and Yin Buin is indeed a rare talent. He has done so many things, but left very little evidence and traces. Moreover, he hasn't really harmed the country, and instead, he's constantly providing the military with advanced weapons. The military officials are very supportive of him. Therefore, no one has made any rash contact with him, for fear of alerting him. However, from what I can see, that Yin Buin has a lot of secrets hidden on him. I wonder if young Master Lai will become his chess piece if this continues. Yang Gongming knocked on the stone table a few times, then said, "If it's a blessing, it's not a curse. If it's a curse, it can't be avoided. San Yang, these matters, just watch. There's no need to participate. If that kid, Yang Cheng, really wants to take over the Yang family from my hands, then if he can't even deal with Yin Buin, he'll fail sooner or later." But young Master Lai, San Yang was a little worried. Whether it's a cat or a tiger, looks don't decide, Yang Gongming said with a smile. We'll see the results after we fight. As for the outcome, it'll only happen after I die. It's better to see it while I'm still alive. This is already a performance for the young. Let's just watch quietly. Yin Sanyang smiled and nodded. Master, you're right. Maybe I'm worrying too much. I don't know why, but young Master Chun has clearly stepped into this realm. So protecting the Yang family shouldn't be a problem at all. However, I'm still worried that something might happen. Yang Gongming sighed. San Yang, compared to worrying about the two little ones, I'm more worried about you. Yin San Yang's wrinkled face revealed a trace of emotion. She lowered her head and said, Master, it's all right. It's only a matter of time before Hongming comes looking for me. In the past, I was still a little afraid that I wouldn't be able to repay Master and would have to leave. Now that young Master Chun has stepped into this realm and is about to return to the Yang family, I can retire now that I've accomplished my mission. Sayu, just like before, Yang Gongming raised his head and looked at the clear sky, as if reminiscing about the distant past. Chapter 688. Yang Chun, who was far away in Zhonghai, didn't know that there were already people waiting to watch him fight before he even returned to Beijing. However, it was obvious that Yang Chun didn't care about who he was fighting against at the moment. It had been more than a week since he returned to Zhonghai. During this week, the hottest news in Zhonghai, similar to that of Huaxia, was Lin Hui, who had become popular all over the country and even the world. No matter which shopping mall or which restaurant he went to, as long as there was music playing, Lin Hui songs would most likely be there. After the release of the new album, the market was in short supply 3 days later. In this era where the recording market was in a slump, digital music was prevalent online, and piracy was rampant. Many music critics and experienced artists were shocked the new singer's album could cause a nationwide craze. For a time, Lin Hui's limelight was unparalleled. Many newspaper headlines were filled with pictures of the girl smiling shyly. However, many fans were puzzled by the fact that there were no paparazzi stalking or digging out any information about such a popular figure. Lin Hui's family background and living conditions had become a topic of speculation for many people during their leisure time. As the director of the entertainment company, Yang Cheng was not idle. Even if he wanted to slack off, he still wanted to pay more attention to Hui Lin's matters. Lin Hui's first concert in Beijing was a complete success with a full house. Fans all over the country were eager to attend the concert. About a week later, Yulei Entertainment announced that Lin Hui was going on a national tour. The cities that were announced were according to the requirements of the netizens. There were more than 30 cities. At the same time, in order to satisfy the fans, Lin Hui also recorded some covers of classic songs within a short period of time. What surprised many people was that many of these songs were in Spanish, French, and even other languages, not to mention the English songs that were extremely popular around the world. Those who paid attention could feel that Lin Hui was taking the first step to enter the world. These plans naturally came from the team hired by Yang Chung. To these people who had been immersed in the entertainment industry for a long time, it was not difficult for a talented singer with huge financial support to enter the world stage. Due to Lin Hui's internal energy cultivation, although she was a young girl, she did not have any problems with stamina and energy. She could still feel refreshed, even if she worked day and night. Moreover, she had a superb memory, which allowed her to learn any language quickly. Moreover, the girl loved to sing, so she was never bored with work. She could always maintain a sense of excitement. Such talent was beyond the imagination of the staff, so they were especially passionate about their work. In the morning, in the office located in Zhonghai, Yang Chun sat on the chair and stretched his body before yawning. These days, he came to work early in the morning. It was rare that he was never late. He was here to discuss some details of Huilin's concert and commercial tour with Zhao Teng, Wang Jie, and other management personnel. More than 30 cities, plus some activities after that, couldn't be arranged in a short period of time. Yang Chung looked at the computer screen. The accountant had submitted this week's financial report, and he smiled proudly. According to the statistics, based on the current trend, by the end of the year, Huilin's income alone could break through the 1 billion mark. Although Yang Chung did not really care about this 1 billion, when he thought that this money was earned by his company, he felt that this report was very cute. He felt a great sense of achievement. Yang Chung even thought that Lin Ruoshi liked to work and read all kinds of documents. Did she feel that this kind of work could give her a sense of accomplishment? How can I get addicted? Right at this moment, a slim figure wearing a blue and green loose knee-length dress with a black ribbon tied around her waist came to Yang Chen's side and placed a cup of freshly brewed tender green tea on Yang Chen's table. Yang Chung raised his head and smiled at Anshin. You've been working hard these days. I've been busy with work and didn't have much time to talk to you. Anshin pursed her lips and shook her head. It's rare for me to see the man I love working hard. It's refreshing. Glancing at the woman, Yang Chung grinned and carried her to his thighs. He slapped her supple buttocks and pretended to be angry. My darling Anshin, are you saying that I'm not doing my job properly? Oomph. Do you think it's funny that I'm sitting here? An Xian giggled as she snuggled into Yang Chen's neck. Using her fair and tender face to rub against Yang Chun, she breathed out and said, Of course not. I know. Although you don't usually care about work, you know a lot of things, don't you? But seeing you sitting here looking at the report, I really feel that it's very special. Ha! Yang Chun had a helpless look on his face. He caressed an Xian's slender back with one hand and said with an evil smile, I haven't spent enough time with you recently. Why don't we have a round before lunch? Anshin was slightly stunned and asked softly, You're not going to look for Vice President Mo today? The smile on Yang Cheng's face disappeared in an instant, and he was stunned and speechless. The reason why Anshin asked this was that Yang Cheng would go to Mo Qian's office almost every day at noon and after work. For some reason, Yang Cheng always felt that Mo Qian was deliberately avoiding him. After watching the moonlight together for a long time that night, Yang Cheng called Mo Qian the next day to talk about how to persuade Ma Guifeng. However, Mo Qian said that she was busy with work and would talk about it later. Yang Cheng was worried, so he went to Mo Qian's office and wanted to have lunch with her and talk at the same time. Unexpectedly, when he entered the office, Mo Qian was about to go to a meeting. Yang Cheng had no choice. He couldn't stop her, so he had to go to the meeting the next day. As a result, after a few days, Mo Qian was either busy with work, or she was not there, or she was just about to go out for a business meeting. They couldn't find time to have a good talk. Even if she wanted to say something, she would immediately change the topic and leave. Yang Cheng was very puzzled. Why did Mo Qian's attitude suddenly change so much? Of course, he could feel that she was deliberately avoiding him. She didn't even want to say more than a few words on the phone, which was the best proof. However, Yangqing also thought that perhaps he hadn't handled the matter well and hurt the woman's heart, or Mo Qianyi was originally in a low mood. It was not impossible. Therefore, Yangqing insisted on looking for Mo Qianyi for more than a week. Unfortunately, he couldn't solve the matter. "Hubby, you'd better go." Anxin pouted and said, "I'm fine. Anyway, we are together every day in the company. I think Vice President Mo is very bitter in her heart if she doesn't want to see you. As long as you let her see your persistence, I think she will be touched." Yang Chung sighed. "I always feel that there are a lot of things in her heart that she is hiding from me, but I can't bear to force her to say anything. But she has been unwilling to be honest with me, which makes me feel annoyed. I'm anxious, but I can't do anything." Anxin kissed the man's face hard and wrinkled her nose. She said, "Humph. If you can't even solve such a small matter, I think you should go back and live with your General Lin. Who asked you to be so good at provoking women? There will be a lot of such things in the future. Do you think that we women are all single-celled organisms who listen to you and really won't be dissatisfied with you?" Yang Chung smiled bitterly at Shan Shan. "I know. You don't have to say it so seriously. I'm scared just listening to it." Yang Chung stood up and hugged Anxin. He took a deep breath and drank the green tea in one gulp. "Then I'll go. You can go eat with your colleagues in the company. If there's anything urgent, call me. I have a talk to Chinny today. It should take a lot of time." Anxin said worriedly, "Don't be too agitated. I think if Vice President Mo is forced by you, she will be especially sad. She should be very weak right now. You're the most seductive." Yang Chung pinched the woman's nose and left the office with a smile. After Yang Chung left, the smile on Anxin's face slowly dissipated. She sat down on the chair, tiredly. Feeling the warmth from Yang Chung, the corner of her mouth raised into a bitter smile. Anxin frowned slightly. Her phone rang. She took it out and took a look. She seemed to have guessed who it was and reluctantly picked it up. "Dad, I told you I won't do that. That's your problem. I beg you, don't make it difficult for me, okay? No matter what you say, there's no way. Solve your own problems. Don't think of dragging Yang Chung down with you." "Humph, son-in-law. If you really treat him as a son-in-law, would you make such a request to me?" "I'm hanging up." Anxin hung up the phone. Her beautiful face revealed a hint of pain. Her eyes were slightly red, but her gaze was incomparably firm. Yang Chung, who ran to the Yulei International Building, was not in a relaxed mood. Although he said that he would try his best not to show it in front of Anxin, whenever Yangqing thought about how Mo Qianyi didn't want to see him, he would be especially angry. However, after all, she was the woman he loved. Even if she was suddenly angry with him for no reason, Yangqing could only endure it and not treat her too roughly. Since his relationship with Lin Ruoshi had already been made public, all the employees that Yangqing met would secretly look at him as he walked up the stairs. These days, Yangqing often came to find Mo Qianyi, and the news had spread throughout the company. However, most people didn't dare to imagine that a man would touch another woman after marrying their General Lin, not to mention that there was such a touching scene that day. Therefore, no one believed some of the rumors. Yangqing didn't care what others thought. The more brazen he was, the less guilty he seemed. Arriving at the door of Mo Qianyi's office, Yangqing knocked on the door 3 times. "Come in," Mo Qianyi said in a formal manner. Yangqing was happy in his heart. At least she was there. He opened the door and entered, but the smile on his face instantly disappeared. He only saw that in Mo Qianyi's office, there were already 4 or 5 of the company's higher-ups sitting together, discussing something. "Oh, it's Director Yang. Please sit, please sit." A man in a suit hurriedly invited Yangqing to sit down. The others also knew who Yangqing was. Although they were curious why Yangqing, who was from the branch company, would come here, they all greeted him with a smile. Yangqing's gaze was fixed on Mo Qianyi, but Mo Qianyi's head was lowered, looking at the documents on the table, as if she didn't feel anything. "Is this intentional? Why did you choose to arrange a discussion at lunchtime?" Yangqing asked. Mo Qianyi said calmly, "What's the matter, Director Yang?" Yangqing was furious. He didn't expect that the woman would choose to call for a meeting at lunchtime in order to avoid being alone with him. He grinned and said, Of course I have something to discuss with CEO Mo. With that, Yang Chung said to the others, "Everyone, please excuse us for a moment. I have some private matters to discuss with CEO Mo." Meeting Yang Cheng's cold gaze, the others felt a chill down their spines. They hurriedly nodded and bowed as they left. They didn't dare to offend Lin Ruoshi's husband. Moreover, logically speaking, the person who could make Lin Ruoshi marry someone with a lower status must have an extraordinary background. Mo Qianni raised her head, her almond-shaped eyes filled with dissatisfaction. "Why did you interrupt our meeting?" "Because I'm very angry right now." Yang Chun locked the office door with a backhand motion, leaving the two of them alone in the office. Mo Qianni averted her gaze, unwilling to meet Yang Cheng's eyes. She said coldly, "Hurry up and say what you want to say. I have work in the afternoon, so I don't have much time." Seeing Mo Qianni's cold demeanor, Yang Chung felt a twinge of pain in his heart. Why? Why are you avoiding me?" Yang Chung walked up to Mo Qianni and questioned her with his head lowered. Mo Qianni chuckled. "You're really annoying. If a woman doesn't want to see a man, other than having no feelings for him, what else can it be?" "No feelings?" Yang Chung was so angry that he laughed. "Do you mean that you don't love me anymore? Or do you have a new lover?" "Whatever you think." Mo Qianni gritted her teeth and said, "Anyway, we'll stop here. I don't want to be entangled with you anymore." Yang Chung clenched his fists and said in a low voice, "I don't believe that a woman who wakes up before dawn to put on makeup and wants a man to see her most beautiful side, a woman who is willing to use her body to block bullets for a man without hesitation, will say that she has no feelings for this man. Mo Qianni, don't treat me as an idiot and don't underestimate my determination towards you. I'm a casual person, but I'll never compromise with what I cherish in my heart." Mo Qianni's eyes reddened and her delicate body trembled. She said with difficulty, "Leave. We're already over. Whatever you say is useless." "If you say it's over, then won't I lose a lot of face?" Yang Cheng's face darkened. He suddenly leaned forward and placed his hands on both sides of Mo Qianni, fixing the woman under him. Chapter 689. Face to face, close to each other, they could feel each other's breath. Yang Chung said with bright eyes, "Mo Qianni, use your eyes to look at me. If you really have no feelings for me, then don't be afraid to look at me." Mo Qianni bit her lips and tried to turn her head, but it was like her neck was stuck with a gear, unable to move. Finally, Mo Qianni shook her head slightly and said in a low voice, "Yang Chung, I'm begging you, leave quickly. I'm not worthy of you doing this. I'm just an ordinary woman from a mountain village, with no status, no background. To me, it's already a very precious blessing to repay the old CEO who helped me so much and to help Ruoshi manage the company well. Those things between you and me, just take it as a mental disorder. We're not people who should have too much interaction. The more I'm with you, the more I'll feel guilty and blame myself. I'm sorry to those who have helped and cared for me, and I can't face Ruoshi calmly. The gap between us is too big. You're too extraordinary, and I'm too ordinary. Cherish the people around you. Let me go, we can't be together." Yang Chen sneered and said, "Mo Qianni, I didn't know that your love was so cheap. Ordinary? Extraordinary? Ha! If you like an employee who sells mutton skewers, it's also because of this man's background, then I have nothing to say. You're obviously looking for an excuse that's not an excuse." Mo Qianni suddenly turned her head, broke free from Yang Cheng's hands, stood up, looked up at Yang Cheng, and said with tears in her eyes, "Love? What is love? For some people, love is of course important, because other than love, they don't need to take care of anything else. But for some people, because of love, they lose their family, lose their career, lose their dignity. Although they know it's not suitable, they still insist on holding on to love. Do you think this is right? You're even more naive than I thought. If you think that a cruel idiot in love is more attractive than a woman of flesh and blood, then I'll still reject you." The air seemed to be filled with a breathtaking chill, causing Yang Cheng to feel a chill in his bones. The woman's words were like several sharp knives that pierced into his bones. Yang Cheng painfully looked at the face in front of him. From the woman's eyes, he could see traces of red. These days, she must not have had a good rest. Yang Cheng smiled miserably. I've never thought about keeping you by my side at all costs. But why don't you even give me a chance to solve the problem? Opportunity? Mo Chinny laughed self-deprecatingly. How could I give you a chance? Do you know that day, I just watched the moon with you on the balcony for a while. When I returned to the house, my mom took a bottle of sleeping pills and told me that if I didn't cut off my relationship with you, she would die in front of me. Yang Cheng's face was ashen. He couldn't believe that Mo Chinny actually suffered such a scene that night. I was raised by my mother since I was young. For me, she stayed in that small mountain village for most of her life. She was alone, and she was bullied by Zhang Fuguei in the past. I only have her as my family. How could I abandon my mother for the so-called love that you speak of? Mo Chinny's tears were like a broken bead curtain, powerlessly covering her face. Yang Cheng was dumbstruck. His expression was unpredictable. After a long time, he dryly said, "You can say that I'm cold-blooded, cruel, or whatever you say. I will definitely convince your mother. I only beg you, don't give up first, okay? To me, there are only two kinds of women in this world, those who play casually and those who give their heart. If everything you've said and done is to test whether or not I'll have a change of heart for you because of this, then you'd better give up. I have too much. I won't really feel like I've lost anything just because a woman who I play casually leaves me. I'm still standing here. Do you still need to doubt it?" Mo Chinny stopped crying and looked at Yang Cheng with tears in her eyes, not saying a word. Yang Cheng grabbed Mo Chinny's shoulders and resolutely said, "I can accept you being unreasonable, accept you being indifferent to me, and accept you losing your temper. However, if you're a woman who doesn't even dare to try to recover her love and doesn't even dare to look me in the eye, then why should I come to your cold but 2 or 3 times a day for a week? Why did you make me feel uneasy and worried about you for so many days? So, don't say give up first. Believe me, okay?" In the quiet office, only the sound of breathing could be heard. The man's burning gaze made Mo Chinny feel a wave of powerlessness. After a long time, Mo Chinny turned her head away and laughed softly. "You haven't changed at all. Whether it was the first time you entered my office and confronted me, or now, you've never been willing to give in to me, even if I want to retreat." Yang Cheng's eyes revealed a trace of joy and said with a smile, "I will never restrict you from advancing or retreating, but even if you want to retreat, I will let you fall into my arms." Mo Chinny smiled through her tears. "You only know how to make people happy. You better think of a way to get my mother to agree. Otherwise, you still won't be able to think about anything." Yang Chun reached out and gently wiped away the tear stains on her cheeks. Cupping her soft face, he said, "Let's not talk about other things for now. It's almost midnight. Let's go out for lunch. Look at you. You've lost so much weight that it's uncomfortable to touch." Mo Chinny pouted and pinched Yang Cheng's stomach. "You didn't say anything serious, and you're already like this. How can my mother agree to you like this?" Yang Cheng laughed out loud, grabbed the woman's hand, and walked out. After temporarily solving the knot in Mo Chinny's heart, Yang Cheng felt a lot more relaxed. As for how to convince Ma Guifeng, Yang Cheng could only do as he saw fit. He took the elevator to the underground parking lot and drove Mo Chinny's car all the way to the business district in the city center. In order to make the woman happy, Yang Cheng also spent a lot of effort to choose a Sichuan restaurant. After all, Mo Chinny usually didn't eat any spicy food at the company. He specially asked for a large table and ordered a series of dishes that Mo Chinny liked, such as spicy boiled fish, duck with camphor tea, and beef slices. The two of them placed nearly 10 hot and cold plates in front of them. Mo Chinny looked at the red and fragrant dishes on the table and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I'm not a pig. How can I eat so much? It's good that I know your intentions. This is such a waste." Yang Cheng chuckled and said, "Don't you have me? You can choose whatever you like to eat. I'll eat all the leftovers you eat. I won't waste them." Mo Chinny picked up a piece of fish-flavored shredded pork with her chopsticks and brought it to Yang Cheng's mouth. "Ah, open it." Yang Cheng hurriedly ate it all in one bite and bit the chopsticks at the same time. Mo Chinny was shocked. "Why are you biting the chopsticks? Let go." Yang Chung bared his teeth and let go of the chopsticks. He chewed and said, "Little Chantian's chopsticks are very delicious." Mo Chinny couldn't help but laugh. There were even some tears in her laughter. How could she not know that this was Yang Chung trying to please her in order to make her happy? After the two of them finished their sweet lunch, Yang Chung paid and walked out of the restaurant. Since the two of them had nothing to do in the afternoon, they simply strolled along the business street. After unraveling the knot in her heart, Mo Chinny's mood became a little more lively. She held Yang Cheng's hand and walked slowly on the pedestrian street, enjoying the rare time with the two of them. Yang Chen suddenly stopped in his tracks when he arrived outside a gaming store. He looked inside. Mo Chinny looked inside curiously. There were all kinds of large game consoles, motorcycles, planes, shooting games, but there was nothing special. She didn't understand why Yang Chung stopped. Could it be that he wanted to play a game? Yang Chung turned his head and said, "Little Chantian, go in and play. I saw something interesting." Although Mo Chinny wasn't very interested in the game console, she still smiled and nodded in agreement. After all, the two of them had to think for each other's sake when they were together. After Yang Chung bought a few copper coins, he didn't play anything else. He dragged Mo Chinny to the innermost corner where no one was playing and chose a whack-a-mole game. This kind of old-fashioned game didn't require any skills. Just hold a hammer and smash the mole's head. Many people played it purely to vent their emotions. Mo Chinny asked doubtfully, "Hubby, you want to play this?" "It's not me." Yang Chung picked up the hammer and stuffed it into Mo Chinny's hand. He smiled and said, "It's you who's playing." "Me?" Mo Chinny looked at the hammer, then looked at the mole that had already appeared. She blushed and said, "Why do you want me to hit this?" Yang Chung thought that Mo Chinny didn't know how to do it, so he went behind the woman and grabbed Mo Chinny's arm from behind. He started smashing the mole and said, "Just hit it like this. It's very simple." Mo Chinny turned her head and laughed. "Hubby, I'm asking you. Why are you asking me to hit a mole for no reason? It's not like I'm a child." Yang Chung hesitated for a moment, then smiled bitterly and said, "I feel that you've suffered a lot these days. It's my fault. I didn't take good care of you in time. So I want you to find a chance to vent. If you want, I hope you can slap me a few times. But I know you'll definitely say that you're fine. So just treat these mole as me. Hit them hard with the hammer until you're happy." After hearing this, Mo Chinny looked at the man in front of her. She was stunned for a moment, as if something was stuck in her throat. She wanted to say a lot, but she couldn't. Seeing that Mo Chinny didn't make a move, Yang Chung scratched his head, took the hammer from the woman's hand, and said, "All right, since you can't do it like this, then I'll hit. I'll help you smash this bad guy to death." After saying that, Yang Chung took the hammer and quickly smashed it down on the mole. To Yang Chung, this kind of game was naturally accurate. It was just that he had to control his strength so that he wouldn't break the game console. Mo Chinny stood at the side. From the side, she saw Yang Chun seriously smashing the gophers. She took a deep breath and choked. Suddenly, Yang Chung, who was seriously beating the mole, felt a pair of arms hugging his waist. It was Mo Chinny suddenly hugging him from behind. "What's wrong?" Yang Chung turned around and saw Mo Chinny looking at him with a pitiful gaze. Shan Shan smiled and said, "I don't think it's appropriate for me to hit them. Why don't you do it yourself?" Mo Chinny shook her head and pleaded, "Please don't hit them anymore. I forgive that bad guy. Really, I'm very happy now. If you keep hitting the man that I love more than myself, my heart will ache." Yang Chung revealed a naughty smile. "Really? Then kiss me." As he said that, he pointed to his mouth. "Here?" Mo Chinny secretly looked behind her. There were quite a lot of people in the arcade. "Seems like you're still angry at me," Yang Chung said regretfully. Mo Chinny rolled her eyes at him, smiled charmingly, stood on her tiptoes, and kissed him deeply. The noise of the outside world seemed pale and dim in this corner. Only this couple hugged and kissed passionately, as if there was no one else around. Chapter 690. For the entire afternoon, Yang Chung accompanied Mo Chinny for a stroll outside. Mo Chinny was in a good mood and didn't have to worry about those things anymore. When he got home after work, he saw Lin Ruoshi watching TV with Guishu Ehua and Mother Wang. Seeing that Yang Cheng had returned home, Lin Ruoshi's eyes were filled with an inexplicable meaning. What was certain was that Lin Ruoshi was a little dissatisfied. "Mom, I'll go get the dishes." Lin Ruoshi stood up and walked straight to the kitchen, not even bothering to greet Yang Cheng. Yang Cheng was a little confused. Didn't they just reconcile yesterday, and their concern for each other had deepened? Why did she roll her eyes at him again? Thus, Yang Cheng followed her into the kitchen and picked up 2 dishes. He followed behind Lin Ruoshi and said with a smile, "Dear, why didn't you greet your husband when he came back? It's so unharmonious." Lin Ruoshi placed the dishes on the table, turned around and chuckled disdainfully. "What did you do in the afternoon?" Yang Cheng was speechless. Looking at Lin Ruoshi's expression, he guessed that she probably knew that he had accompanied Mo Qianni to shop for the entire afternoon. "Can't say it? Let me say it. Everyone in the company is discussing why Director Yang went out with Vice President Mo and disappeared for the entire afternoon. Wu Yu even ran to my office and asked me if I knew what was going on." Lin Ruoshi glared at Yang Cheng angrily and said, "How do you think I should answer? Should I say I don't know? That would be ridiculous. I don't know that my husband went on a date with the vice president right under my nose. Should I say I know? Then what is going on?" Yang Cheng shrugged helplessly. "I didn't think it through. Actually, we didn't do anything. As you know, Chinny has been in a bad mood recently. I just took her out for lunch and went shopping. You don't have to report to me. I can't control you. I don't want to be a jealous woman. You can do whatever you want. I just hope that you won't make me speechless when I face my subordinates," Lin Ruoshi said. Yang Cheng smiled fawningly and said, "How about this? I'll accompany you to play tomorrow. It just so happens that I'm done with my work at the company, so I'm free." Lin Ruoshi glanced at him coldly. "Umph, you're so considerate. Sorry, you're free, but I'm not." After that, she couldn't be bothered to continue talking to Yang Cheng and went back to the kitchen to serve the dishes. Yang Cheng scratched his face. He didn't know how to appease Lin Ruoshi. He couldn't care less about one thing and lose sight of the other, even if he thought about it. When Lin Ruoshi was asked about this by Wu Yu, she would also be embarrassed and not know how to answer. Yang Cheng didn't know the taste of the dinner because Lin Ruoshi didn't say a word. After eating, she went back to the study to work. After clearing the dishes, Guo Shihuahua took off her apron and suddenly stopped Yang Cheng, who was going upstairs. She said, "Son, follow me to the room." Yang Cheng was puzzled about what his mother was doing, but he still nodded and followed her. When they came to Guo Shihuahua's room, Guo Shihuahua asked Yang Cheng to sit on the edge of the bed. She looked at Yang Cheng's face for a while and smiled. "I heard what you said to Ruoshi just now. This is your fault. How can you put Ruoshi in such an awkward situation? It's fine if our family knows about it, but if outsiders know about it, it will have a negative impact on Ruoshi and Qianni." Yang Cheng nodded silently. "I've thought about it, and it's indeed a little inconsiderate. But because I couldn't get a date with Qianni, I was very anxious, so I didn't think too much about it." Guo Shihuahua sighed. "Do you really like that girl that much? Even if her mother is against it, you still won't let her go?" Yang Cheng shook his head and smiled. "If you want me to let her go now, I wouldn't have accepted her back then. You can say that I'm selfish or hypocritical, but I don't want to experience the feeling of losing my woman again." Guo Shihuahua was slightly surprised. She could tell that Yang Cheng was hinting at something, but she also knew that it was definitely not a good memory. So she skipped this topic and said, "Don't be impulsive. This matter can't be rushed." Yang Cheng smiled. "Mom, don't worry. I know that Aunt Ma is the most important family to Qianni. No matter what, I will take her feelings into consideration, and I will not be extravagant. I plan to look for her after I think of an excuse. Even if she chases me away, I will bear with it. Although this way of handling things makes me feel suffocated, this is the only way I can do it now." Guo Shihuahua grabbed one of Yang Cheng's hands and patted it. "Mom is just worried that you'll go overboard. Now that you've said this, I'm relieved. Do you know, Yang Cheng, when I first met you before we acknowledged each other, you were like a bomb that would explode at any time, and it made me panic. Maybe you're used to being alone abroad, or maybe it's the environment you grew up in that forced you to be overbearing, tough, and sometimes unreasonable. Although I can tell that you're a kind child, you always do things according to your own preferences, and it's inevitable that the people around you will love and hate you at the same time. Now, it seems that you're more considerate of the people around you, and your thoughts are more meticulous. Just like what you said, you might feel that your hands and feet are tied when you do things, and many things that were originally very simple seem endlessly long-winded. But in this world, there are all kinds of fetters, and that's life, isn't it? Yang Chung smiled brightly. Mom, are you trying to calm me down? Don't worry, I will be more careful in the future and consider everyone around me. In the past, I was alone and my whole family died. But now I have a family to feed, and I know what's important. Guo Shuehua tapped her son's forehead before she stood up. It's good that you know. Go back to your room and rest. Mom will cut some fruits for you. The next morning, Yang Chung, who went to work as usual, had a simple meeting with Zhao Tong and Wang Jie in his office. When the meeting ended at 9 a.m., he saw Anshin walking into the office with light steps. Yang Chung frowned, and he smelled the smell of alcohol. Baby Anshin, did you drink last night? Anshin's face was a little gloomy, and she forced a smile. Yeah, I had a friend's birthday party, so I drank a little too much. Don't worry, I'm fine. But don't deduct my salary if I'm late. Yang Chung sighed, walked to Anshin, and held her hand. A stream of true origin slowly poured into Anshin's meridians after breaking through to the innate realm. The innate true chi had transformed into a type of true origin force that was closer to the origin, but it also had the strong recovery ability of the endless resolve restoration scripture, so it was naturally easier for damaged tissues to recover. Anshin only felt a warm feeling throughout her body, and it made her feel so comfortable that she wanted to fall asleep. In an instant, her tired and dispirited state was swept away. It wasn't the first time that Anshin witnessed Yang Cheng's magic. She smiled and said, Hubby, you're just like a Doryman. You're really omnipotent. Don't compare me to something that isn't human. Yang Cheng joked, then reminded, even if you're having a gathering with friends, don't drink too much. If I see you next time, I'll spank your butt, and I won't let you recover so quickly. I'll let you suffer. Anshin pouted and said pitifully, Got it. Seeing that everything was settled, Yang Cheng planned to go out and meet Ma Guifang to talk about Mo Qianyi. But unexpectedly, his subordinate, Wang Jie, who had just left not long ago, rushed in again. Wang Jie, who had a panicked look on her face, exclaimed, Bad news, Director Yang. Something happened at the head office. Yang Cheng and Anshin were stunned. Yang Cheng frowned and asked, Head office? What happened to you, Lei? Wang Jie's mouth kept changing, as if she didn't know what to say. In the end, she sighed and ran to Yang Cheng's desk. She turned on Yang Cheng's computer and said, Director Yang, come over and take a look. The whole company is in an uproar now. Yang Cheng and Anshin walked in front of the computer in confusion. Looking at the things on the screen, Yang Cheng was puzzled and confused, but Anshin's expression changed, and her eyes revealed a look of disbelief. The things on the screen were not anything else but files. They were all placed on the network disk used for public download. How could this be? It's impossible. Anshin mumbled. Wang Jie's face was sullen. Miss Anshin, the whole company is going crazy. How could this happen? Yang Cheng scratched his head and asked, Anshin, what are these files? What procurement, what tenders? Anshin sighed deeply and said, These files are Yulei International's procurement plans, tenders, negotiation plans, and part of the acquisition plans for the next half a year or so. There are also other parts, such as client information, product design drawings, as well as Yulei's internal financial budget and distribution plans. I can recognize these words too. What's wrong with these things? Yang Cheng asked gloomily. Anshin said bitterly, Simply put, these files are the core business secrets of Yulei International. If any of them were to be known by our competitors, it would be a huge blow. And with so many documents, all of them have been put on the public platform online. That was to say, the work of Yulei International for the next half of the year was almost in a semi-transparent state. Think about it. Before the negotiation even started, the opponent already knew your bargaining chips. Before you even buy the materials, someone else already snatches the materials you want to buy. If that's the case, even if Ulay doesn't go bankrupt, it will at least be pushed back a few years, maybe even decades. Such important things. How did they end up on the internet? Yang Cheng finally understood. Could it be hackers? Impossible. Wang Jie shook her head and explained, Mr. Yang, you might not understand, but these important files are usually kept on paper. After all, on the internet, a lot of hackers' techniques are hard to defend against, especially for a big company like ours. It will become a big target. So, according to the usual practice, these files are stored in the offices of the general manager and above, and stored in safe boxes with perfect security and alarm systems. Yang Cheng squinted his eyes. He suddenly thought of something and asked, Now, do you know who leaked these files from? Wang Jie made a bitter face and lamented, These files, most of them are related to negotiations and tenders, and some are related to market plans. According to the usual practice, they're all stored in the Public Relations Department of Ulay International, which is the current department head, Lu Mingyu. Chapter 691. Hearing this, Yang Cheng's expression didn't change as he said, Since the head office is in a mess, the subsidiary companies can't be in a mess either. Tell the various departments to continue with their own work. Don't talk nonsense. Wang Jie nodded and immediately ran out to calm the emotions of her subordinates. Anshin said worriedly, Hubby, what should we do? Sister Mingyu definitely wouldn't do such a thing. This seems to have been planned long ago. Because Mo Qianni and Lu Mingyu had both come to see Anshin before, and although they didn't work at the same place, they would still bump into each other occasionally during meetings. Therefore, although they weren't close, they were still quite friendly. Yang Cheng smiled at Anshin. I'll take care of everything. Don't worry. Are you afraid that I won't have the money to support you if the company collapses? You stay here and help me take care of the situation. I'll go to the head office now to check on the situation. Anshin nodded meekly. She also knew that this was an important subsidiary company, and she couldn't afford to be in a mess at this time. 10 minutes later, Yang Cheng entered the Ulay building. Almost every Ulay employee he met had a solemn expression on their faces. They kept talking about whether there was a traitor in the company or the worrying future of the company. Yang Cheng found a random person and asked where Lin Ruoshi and the other executives were. He then took the elevator to the floor of the big conference room. In the conference room, there were already no less than 20 to 30 executives of Ulay. Lin Ruoshi, Mo Qianni, Li Mingyi, Chris, and a central figure of this incident, Lu Mingyu, were also present. The atmosphere in the conference room was unusually heavy. Everyone had an ugly expression on their faces. Lin Ruoshi's face was as cold as frost. Her beautiful face could only be described as overcast. Her eyes revealed a repressed killing intent, and none of the executives dared to look directly at this female CEO's eyes. Mo Qianni, Wu Yu, and the others sat on either side of Lin Ruoshi. They were all silent, and their faces were filled with anxiety. Li Mingyi, Chris, and the other executives also looked troubled. Lu Mingyu was the most despondent of them all. She sat in her seat and gripped a pen tightly with both hands. She bit her lips as if she wanted to break the pen. What's wrong? Are you mute? Say something. Lin Ruoshi said in a cold voice. Her voice was not loud, but it made the entire meeting room, which was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. No one said anything. Everyone was looking at something else, not daring to communicate with Lin Ruoshi. Lin Ruoshi sneered, What's wrong? Aren't you guys usually full of ideas? Now that something has happened, why have you all become mute? There was another moment of silence. Finally, one of the executives gulped and said with a trembling voice, Lin, General Lin, I think this is very strange. Our company's security is of the highest standard in the industry. How is it possible? How is it possible that someone could steal such important information without being discovered? Smack! Lin Ruoshi slammed one of her hands on the table fiercely, causing everyone to tremble. Department Head Fong, I called you all to this meeting not to report the incident to me. Everyone knows what happened now. I want to hear the solution. The solution. Lin Ruoshi was obviously furious. She had always been calm. Even when they were bombarded by overseas consortiums, she had never been so angry. This was because this happened within the company. Department head Fong wiped his cold sweat and quickly said, "Yes, yes. General Lin, I think the most important thing now is to find the enemy who plagiarized our company's information. If we can find the evidence in a short period of time, then we can proceed with criminal proceedings. In that case, we may be able to control the situation. Even if we suffer some losses, we should be able to get a huge amount of compensation through legal channels. I believe that the opponent who dares to attack our company is definitely not a small character. As long as we stabilize this situation and recover, even if we suffer losses, we can still make a comeback." After Department Head Fong finished speaking, almost everyone's eyes shifted to Lu Mingyu, who had been silent all this while. Another executive snorted coldly and said, "Other than General Lin himself, only the department heads of each department know the password to the safety deposit box in each department head's office. Department Head Lu, we have been colleagues for so many years, but I didn't expect you to commit such a huge betrayal that will damage the company. I was really blind to vote for this woman to take over Vice President Mo's position at that time." A few more people jeered. For a moment, all the spearheads were pointed at Lu Mingyu. After all, Lin Ruoshi would never leak the documents. In the whole world, only Lu Mingyu knew the password, so naturally, she was the biggest suspect. Lu Mingyu's face was pale and her eyes were filled with tears, but she didn't know what to say. She also knew that there was no excuse to prove that she was innocent. Mo Qianyi defended her with dissatisfaction. Think about it carefully. Everyone knows that only Department Head Lu and General Lin know the password. If Department Head Lu still leaked the documents, wouldn't that be too stupid? How could there be such a stupid criminal? Department Head Lu was obviously framed. The most important thing now is to find the real criminal, and not to start an internal strife here. Only then did everyone quiet down. Mo Qianyi's reputation in the company was second only to Lin Ruoshi, and her words were reasonable. This was indeed too obvious. Even if Lu Mingyu wanted to betray the company, she wouldn't do such a stupid thing. Suddenly, Li Mingyi, who had been silent all this while, said leisurely, "Actually, you can't say it like that. Maybe this is also a counter-psychological tactic of the criminal. Everyone, think about it carefully. All of us feel that if this was Department Head Lu's doing, it would be too obvious, so she was framed. But what if the criminal just happened to use this to make everyone think that she was framed?" Everyone was shocked. Indeed, according to Li Mingyi's words, it was not impossible. "Vice President Li, don't you have ulterior motives by putting the crime on Department Head Lu like this?" Mo Qianyi said angrily. "Vice President Mo, forgive me for being blunt, but what I said is what many colleagues are thinking. Although we don't want Department Head Lu to be the culprit, we don't want to miss any opportunity to find the criminal. Right?" Li Mingyi said calmly. Mo Qianyi was so angry that she gritted her teeth, but she didn't know how to defend Lu Mingyu. "Enough." Lin Ruoshi stopped everyone. Frowning, she asked Wu Yu, "Are the results out? What's the estimated loss?" Wu Yu looked at the tablet in her hand, nodded with a heavy expression, and said, "Yes, General Lin, I have roughly calculated the losses of those bidding plans, procurement plans, acquisition plans, and design plans. If our competitors use them against us, we would at least lose about 5 billion. The main reason is that this year's acquisition and procurement are in a period of global expansion. Our budget is completely tight, and there is no way to stop intentional competition." Upon hearing the words 5 billion, everyone's face fell. Everyone present knew very well that no matter how rich Yulei was, if the company suddenly lost 5 billion from a cash shortfall, it would be a terrible situation. It was equivalent to a supercar running out of oil. That's not all. Chris, who had just arrived not too long ago, also smiled bitterly and said, "Right now, our company's situation is all clear on the internet. No one will be optimistic about our company's financial situation. When the NASDAQ opens in the afternoon in the United States, our shares will definitely be sold crazily all over the world. At that time, our assets will also seriously shrink. In this way, even if we get enough funds from the bank loans, it will only be a temporary relief because we will have to start from scratch for the second half of the year. We will not be competitive at all. Everyone looked at each other and saw helplessness on each other's faces. Damn it. One of the executives slammed the table and said painfully, "We were beaten to the point where we didn't even have a chance to fight back. If I find out who did this, I want to skin him alive." There were even executives who started cursing, unable to control their emotions. Lu Mingyu felt everyone glaring at her angrily, and the heavy burden on her heart finally couldn't bear it anymore. Tears streamed down her face, and she started sobbing at her seat. Lin Ruashi looked at her indifferently and said, "Department Head Lu, why are you crying? Now everyone is suspecting you. Don't you want to defend yourself?" General Lin, seeing that not only did Lin Ruashi not comfort Lu Mingyu, but she even treated her so coldly, Mo Chinny persuaded, "General Lin, this matter is definitely not done by Department Head Lu. It might be possible for others, but it's impossible for Mingyu. Do you understand what I mean? Don't you believe her?" Glancing at Mo Chinny, Lin Ruashi sneered, "I'm sorry, but I really don't understand what you mean. Why should I believe her? Also, Vice President Mo, don't try to get close to me just because we have a personal relationship at this critical juncture. As everyone can see, the only one that can be pointed at is Lu Mingyu, right?" Mo Chinny's face turned pale as she looked at the emotionless Lin Ruashi in disbelief. Lin Ruashi was like an ice sculpture that froze her heart. "Ruashi, how could you?" Mo Chinny choked. "Watch your words," Vice President Lin Ruashi said lightly. "This is a business matter. I have to be responsible for tens of thousands of employees around the world. Now, Lu Mingyu is the biggest suspect. As for whether she was wronged or not, we can only know after the results of the investigation are out." Lu Mingyu raised her head and looked at Lin Ruashi with a sad smile. "General Lin is right. No matter what, the thing slipped out of my hands. I can't absolve myself from the blame for the company suffering such a heavy blow." "Mingyu, you're innocent." Mo Chinny was anxious. After all, Lu Mingyu was promoted by her, and because of her relationship with Yang Cheng, they were sisters who had a deep relationship. Seeing Lu Mingyu speaking as if she was admitting her guilt, she couldn't help but stand up. "Vice President Mo, your actions will make people suspect whether you have any special relationship with Department Head Lu." Li Mingyi interrupted. Mo Chinny abruptly turned around and glared at Li Mingyi. "Don't be so smug. The truth will come to light sooner or later." Li Mingyi raised his eyebrows and smiled. "I hope so too." At this moment, the door of the meeting room was open from the outside. Under everyone's surprised gaze, Yang Chun stretched his back and yawned as he walked into the meeting room. Smiling, he sighed and said to everyone, "I've overheard everything from outside. Your discussion is too inefficient. Instead of wasting time, why don't you go back and do your own work and prepare for the upcoming war? As for tracking down the criminal, how about leaving it to me?" Chapter 692. Yang Cheng's intervention made the room quiet down again. The management staff looked at Yang Cheng and Lin Ruashi with strange eyes. After the secret that the two were husband and wife was exposed, everyone looked at Yang Cheng differently. Instead of thinking that Yang Cheng was a gigolo, it was more logical to think that he was a man with a deep background. However, the people present didn't know where Yang Cheng came from. When Lu Mingyu saw Yang Cheng come in, she wiped the tears on her face and lowered her head, not looking at him. Yang Cheng didn't miss this detail. Without any hesitation, he walked to the woman's back and patted her shoulder. Lu Mingyu was shocked. In front of so many people, and in front of Lin Ruashi, Yang Cheng's action was undoubtedly to express his concern and support for her. Although she was extremely moved, it made her a little timid. Hurriedly, Lu Mingyu removed Yang Cheng's hand from her shoulder and shook her head. "I'm fine, Director Yang. Don't cry. Don't force yourself. You can't work like this. Go home, take a hot bath, and rest," Yang Cheng said gently. Lu Mingyu's eyes, which had just dried, became wet again. She was so emotional that she couldn't say anything. She just kept shaking her head slightly, indicating that she was fine. Seeing this scene, the atmosphere in the conference room became strange again. Everyone could see some clues, but Lin Ruoshi didn't have any emotional changes. No one could tell whether she was happy or angry. She just watched numbly as Yang Cheng comforted Lu Mingyu for a while. "What are you going to do?" Yang Cheng turned around and looked at the expressionless woman. He smiled awkwardly. "That, wife, don't be so serious." "I'm scared." Lin Ruoshi frowned. "I don't have time to joke with you. Also, this is a company, Director Yang." Yang Cheng scratched the back of his head and glanced around at the people who were also looking at him with concern. He smiled awkwardly and said, "I haven't thought about how to investigate, but don't worry. I will find out sooner or later." Everyone almost fell off their chairs. "You haven't thought it through yet?" Was this guy joking with them? "Oh, right." Yang Cheng clapped his hands and laughed. "Actually, it's very simple. Isn't there a surveillance camera in the company? Just look at the surveillance footage and see who else besides Lu Mingyu has touched the safe these days. Wouldn't it be obvious?" Everyone had a strange expression on their faces as they looked around awkwardly. In the end, it was Mo Chinny who explained, "Director Yang, you might not have noticed. Although there are surveillance cameras in most places in the company, we don't install them in the offices of the company's top management because it will affect the privacy of some discussions." Yang Cheng's face froze. "There are no surveillance cameras? Then who doesn't know who has secretly touched it?" "Director Yang, I think it's better for you to think before you speak," Li Mingyi sneered. Yang Cheng rolled his eyes at him. "Do you have a way to find out who the culprit is?" "Me? Although I really want to do it, of course I don't have that ability." Li Mingyi spread his hands. "Then shut up." Yang Cheng couldn't be bothered with him anymore. He then patted his chest and said to Lin Ruoshi, "Old." "Oh no, General Lin, don't worry. I promise to give you an answer in 2 days at most." After hearing this, Lin Ruoshi didn't respond at all. Instead, she turned to Wu Yu and asked, "Are the police here?" Wu Yu nodded. "Yes, they arrived 5 minutes ago. They're waiting in another room for our meeting to end." Lin Ruoshi said, "Let them in." "Yes." Wu Yu replied and left the meeting room. After hearing this, Yang Cheng frowned and asked, "So you've already called the police?" Lin Ruoshi glanced at him indifferently. "Even if I don't call the police will come looking for me." Yang Cheng thought of something and raised his voice. "Do you want the police to take Mingyu away?" Lin Ruoshi nodded without changing her expression. "The police aren't idiots. From the current situation, Lu Mingyu is the biggest suspect. Stealing trade secrets is not an easy crime. In addition, if Yulei's shares plummeted, our finances would be in trouble. It would be a huge blow to Zhonghai's economy. It's only right to take the suspect away for interrogation." After hearing this, everyone in the meeting room gasped. They didn't expect Lin Ruoshi to be so decisive. After all, Lu Mingyu was her employee for many years. She thought it was enough to question Lu Mingyu, but the police were already here and ready to take her away. Lu Mingyu was a little dazed. She didn't expect Lin Ruoshi to call the police just like that. She sat there in silence, as if she had accepted her fate. Mo Chinny couldn't believe what was happening in front of her. She looked at Lin Ruoshi and then at Yang Cheng. She desperately hoped that Yang Cheng could stop everything. At this moment, 2 men in police uniforms walked into the meeting room. After Wu Yu pointed out who Lu Mingyu was, the 2 police officers walked to the sides of Lu Mingyu. "Miss Lu Mingyu, according to the information and the evidence we have, we suspect that you are suspected of plagiarizing the company's trade secrets, divulging the customer's privacy, and many charges of violating the industrial and commercial laws. You're now under arrest as a suspect. Please come back with us to the police station to assist in the investigation. You have a right to remain silent and to hire a lawyer, but anything you say now will have a negative impact on you." After one of the police officers finished speaking, he made a please gesture to Lu Mingyu. Lu Mingyu took a deep breath. She didn't resist or defend herself. She planned to stand up and leave with them. "Wait." Yang Cheng held Lu Mingyu down and questioned Lin Ruoshi. "Lin Ruoshi, do you really want to do this?" Unmoved, Lin Ruoshi replied, "It's not that I want to do this, but it's the way it should be done. You know that this woman won't betray you. Yang Chung didn't expect that Lin Ruoshi would really send Lu Mingyu to the police station, and he felt annoyed in his heart. Lin Ruoshi coldly replied, "You're wrong. I only believe in the facts before me, and the facts are that Lu Mingyu is the biggest suspect. Yang Chung, if you want to participate in the investigation, that's up to you. But I approve of the police taking Lu Mingyu away. I have to be responsible for the employees of Yulei International, and not blindly judge based on my personal feelings. After dealing with these matters, I still have to host many emergency meetings to deal with the upcoming problems. I don't have time to waste with you here." Lin Ruoshi's gaze was unyielding, and she stared back at Yang Chung fearlessly, determined and ruthless. Yang Chung suddenly sneered, "What a good CO, a good boss." Before Yang Chung could finish, Yang Chung felt his hand being pulled by someone. Yang Chung turned around and saw Lu Mingyu, shaking her head with tears in her eyes. "Please, don't say any more. General Lin's decision is right. I can't explain myself. I don't know how it became like this. If you really want to help me, find the culprit instead of arguing with General Lin." Lu Mingyu forced a smile. "I'm fine. I'm not sentenced. I'm just assisting in the investigation. I'll just tell the truth." Looking at Lu Mingyu's desperate eyes, Yang Chung couldn't bear to torture her anymore. He felt a stabbing pain in his heart and could only let her leave with the police officers. Lin Ruoshi didn't care much about Lu Mingyu, who was being taken away. She said to everyone, "Everyone, return to your posts. Lu Mingyu has left, and the Public Relations Department will be temporarily led by the Deputy Minister. Every department will hold a meeting according to the emergency measures. In the afternoon, I will send you to inform you of other special meetings." Meeting dismissed. No one dared to be negligent. The fact that Lu Mingyu had been taken away was a huge blow to them. It was enough to show that this beautiful young CEO was very ruthless. They couldn't let their guard down at all. As everyone left the meeting room, Imo Chini was hesitant to persuade Lin Ruoshi again. However, seeing that Yang Chung was still here, she could only grit her teeth and deal with the urgent matters first. After everyone left the meeting room, Lin Ruoshi brought Yu back to her office. Yang Chung stopped her with a pale face and said, "Why didn't you give me a chance to prove Mingyu's innocence? You clearly know that I have the ability, and even if it's just for a day." "Why?" With her back facing him, Lin Ruoshi stopped in her tracks. After a moment of silence, she asked Yu to return to her office and said indifferently, "I'm just doing my job. There's no why. Mingyu has worked so hard for this company. Can't you even get a day's time? Why can't you consider how much harm it will cause to her?" Yang Chung said. Lin Ruoshi turned around and looked at Yang Chung coldly. "Then you want to comfort Lu Mingyu in front of everyone and ignore my feelings?" Yang Chung was stunned and said, "Do you want me to watch her be surrounded by so many people? What about me? Everyone knows that I'm your wife, but you care about another woman in front of me. Have you considered the way others look at me?" Lin Ruoshi said coldly, "Since you can ignore my embarrassment for Lu Mingyu, then why should I care about her feelings and not send her to the police station? Besides, the truth should be dealt with that way. Are you falling out with me because I cared about Mingyu?" Yang Chung felt that it was inconceivable. Lin Ruoshi smiled disdainfully and said, "Think whatever you want. I'm very busy right now, and I don't want to argue with you. Aren't you very powerful? You have money and power. If you really want Lu Mingyu to suffer less, then hurry up and investigate the case and solve this crisis. But I can tell you very clearly that this crisis can't be solved simply with money, because it involves the normal operation and development of the company. You do as you see fit." After Lin Ruoshi finished speaking, she quickly left. Yang Chung watched as Lin Ruoshi entered the elevator. He took a deep breath and waved his hand hatefully. Things were obviously more troublesome than he had expected. However, Yang Chung did not panic. Based on the current situation, it was just as he had expected. Li Mingyu was the biggest suspect. Li Mingyu's attitude was that he wanted to pin the crime on Lu Mingyu. Moreover, when he went to Lu Mingyu's office, he had met that guy. And according to Lu Mingyu, Li Mingyu often went to her office to chat and discuss official business. He was a frequent visitor. In addition, Li Mingyi was dating Wu Yu, so it was hard to say what kind of secret information he had obtained. The crux of the problem now was how to find evidence that Li Mingyi was the culprit without a surveillance camera. After all, even if he killed Li Mingyi, it would be of no use, and he would not be able to wash away Lu Mingyu's suspicion. Moreover, Yang Cheng did not think that a mere Li Mingyi would dare to pull a tooth out of Tiger's mouth. This kind of thing did not have a strong backing, and it was a fool's dream. Moreover, this kind of crime was not something he could do alone. Plagiarizing the information and no one used it was tantamount to working for nothing. Therefore, finding evidence of Li Mingyi's crime and the person behind him was the first thing to do. Yang Cheng thought for a moment, then dialed the number of the Sea Eagle's captain, Molin. "Your Majesty Pluto, are you calling about today's explosive news from Yulei International?" Molin said, rather proudly on the other end. Yang Cheng pinched the bridge of his nose in distress. It seemed that this matter was indeed known by everyone. He said, "Don't talk nonsense. Come to Yulei's headquarters. I need your professional knowledge to confirm some guesses. I hope I'm right." Chapter 693. Molin chuckled weirdly. "After seeing the news online this morning, we guessed that we might be needed for investigation, so we prepared some tools. But Your Majesty Pluto, I'm sorry, I'm not an expert in crime scene investigation, so I'll have to ask our team's expert, Fanny, to go over." "I don't care who it is, just bring everything you need," Yang Chen muttered to himself before continuing. "Also, help me look into this person, the vice president of Yulei International, Li Mingyi. I need to know his background, from when he was young to now, as much as you can find out. If there's any difficulty, report to Zero and let them handle it. I want results within a day." "Understood." Yang Cheng didn't have to wait long before he saw Fanny rushing over from the entrance of Yulei's building. It was the petite Caucasian girl from the 12-man Sea Eagles team. Fanny, who was wearing a pair of light-colored pink-framed sunglasses, carried a large leather bag on her back. Inside the bag were probably the tools used to survey the scene. Upon seeing Yang Cheng, she quietly nodded in greeting. She seemed rather nervous as she lowered her head and asked in a soft voice, "Your Majesty Pluto, before we survey the scene, can you tell me about the company's surveillance system?" As Yang Cheng led Fanny to the elevator, he said, "There are no surveillance devices in the minister's office. The big office has surveillance from all angles. The security room is on duty 24 hours a day, so if someone snuck into the office to steal information, they would definitely be able to see the intruder. But because the safe isn't opened every day, and it was only today that someone posted the stolen information on the internet, the people who entered the office in the past few days are all suspects." Fanny listened obediently, nodding from time to time. When they walked out of the elevator and entered the public relations department, Yang Cheng couldn't help but laugh. "Fanny, why do you look so nervous? Am I that scary?" Fanny shook her head and smiled awkwardly. "No, Your Majesty Pluto. It's just that this is the first time I'm alone with you, so I'm a little nervous. I'm afraid I won't do well." Yang Cheng patted the female team member's shoulder. "You only need to confirm one thing for me, and that is whether the safe has been cracked or if it has been tampered with. As for the rest, I'll take care of it." "Okay, got it. I know what to do." As they spoke, the two arrived at Lu Mingyi's office. The public relations department was already in a mess, and the deputy manager in place of Lu Mingyu was an older female PR officer. Seeing that Yang Cheng had brought people to investigate, she didn't dare to say anything and quickly helped Yang Cheng unlock Lu Mingyu's room. The female PR officers looked at Yang Cheng and Fanny curiously, their faces full of doubt. They couldn't imagine that this petite foreign woman would be an expert in collecting evidence and cracking passwords. Since the whole company was busy, no one cared about what Yang Cheng and Fanny were doing. After Yang Cheng closed the door, he let Fanny start working. Fanny took out an ultra-thin silver laptop from her large bag, as well as a bunch of connecting cables and devices. She sat down on the ground next to the large safe in the office and began to analyze it. Although Yang Cheng's brain had a sea of knowledge stored in it, it didn't mean that he could understand everything. Most of the time, he could only cram it into his memory. Therefore, when a bunch of complicated numbers and English codes appeared on Fanny's computer screen, Yang Chung could only stare. Seeing that Fanny needed some time to analyze it, Yang Chung didn't want to just sit there and do nothing. He left Fanny alone while he ran to the security department downstairs and asked the security guards to pull up the surveillance footage of the public relations department for the past 2 weeks. What Yang Chung needed to confirm was who had entered Lu Mingyu's office in the past few days. After more than an hour, Yang Chung fast-forwarded through the footage for the past 2 weeks. Sure enough, apart from some major clients and internal employees, there were records of Li Mingyi entering the office 4 times. What made Yang Chung feel strange was that on the afternoon of the day before yesterday, when Li Mingyi entered Lu Mingyu's office, it was obvious that Lu Mingyu wasn't in the office. This was because Lu Mingyu only returned to the office about 5 minutes later. After that, 10 minutes or so later, Li Mingyi left the office again. However, Yang Chung found something strange. There was so much information, and Li Mingyi didn't have a bag with him, and he wasn't wearing bulky clothes. Even if Yang Chung got his hands on it, how was he going to take it out? Yang Chung pondered and looked at the time. He got up and returned to Lu Mingyu's office. When he entered the office, Fanny seemed to have just finished her work. Wiping the fine sweat on her forehead, she turned around and smiled at Yang Chung. "Your Majesty Pluto, I'm really sorry to have kept you waiting. The complexity of this lock is comparable to the safety deposit boxes of some large international banks. It's hard to believe that this is actually a company's safety deposit box." Yang Chung raised his eyebrows and asked, "What do you mean?" When Fanny talked about her field of expertise, she beamed with joy. She said excitedly, "This lock is a multi-ring, freely changing lock produced by the famous Casa company in Europe. It's a lock with a password set according to the preferences of the user. Each ring makes up a combination of changes in the number combinations. And this safety deposit box's lock has a scale from 0 to 99, which means that each ring has 100 possibilities. This is a standard safety deposit box, so the number of rings that can change the combination of numbers is usually 4, which is 100 to the 4th power. This is equivalent to a lock with 100 million possible combinations. If you want to crack this lock, the fastest way is to connect a computer to the unlocked device and rotate the dial counterclockwise while changing the lock's password freely. Then, you can mark and record the numbers that aren't easy to rotate and create a table to deduce the combination of numbers. Stop. Stop. Yang Chung hurriedly cut off Fanny's explanation with a sheepish smile. "I know you're a professional, but I just want to know, how long would it take for a password-cracking expert to crack this lock?" Fanny was a little unsatisfied. She thought for a moment before replying, "If it's the world's best lock-picking expert, it might take around an hour. However, I think there are no more than 5 people in the world who can crack this lock. In fact, I think a normal lock-picking expert wouldn't be able to crack this lock even if they were given an entire day." Yang Chung narrowed his eyes, which means that the possibility of opening the lock without knowing the password can be eliminated. Yes, Your Majesty Pluto." Fanny rose to her feet. After confirming this, Yang Chung started to look around the office carefully. He didn't miss a single spot, and his gaze swept through every single detail and corner of the room. Seeing Yang Chung doing this, Fanny asked, "Your Majesty Pluto, are you looking for traces of a pocket-sized surveillance camera?" "That's right. If a password cracking is required, then we'll have to install surveillance equipment here to secretly observe the process of cracking the password," Yang Chung replied. Fanny smiled wryly. "I'm very sorry, but I've actually already looked around this office when I was analyzing the password on the computer. If I'm not mistaken, there aren't any signs of surveillance equipment installed here." "What?" Yang Chung was shocked. This time, he really was a little dumbfounded. In fact, he was already confident that there was some kind of surveillance equipment installed here, just like how there were surveillance cameras around Elder Tang. However, he didn't expect this to be the case. Yang Chung didn't think that Fanny was joking. Since the Sea Eagles dared to send their members here, they were definitely the cream of the crop. If Fanny said there weren't any, then there definitely weren't any. Yang Cheng's brows furrowed. This wasn't good. In this case, there were no clues at all, let alone evidence that could help Lu Mingyu. "I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I don't think I was of much help, Fanny said with her head lowered in shame. Yang Cheng smiled in relief. It's fine. You did your best. I'll go look for something else. Go back and tell Mullen to hurry up. Fanny immediately agreed and left with her tools. Yang Cheng was thinking about what to do next when his phone suddenly vibrated. It was Lu Qingshan calling. Yang Cheng's face darkened. If Lu Qingshan was calling at this time, it was obviously because he knew that his precious daughter had been arrested. He was really embarrassed this time. He could only bite the bullet and say, I know you're very angry, uncle, but I cut the crap. I don't want to listen to your explanations. I'm entrusting my daughter to you, not to let her be bullied by that Lin Ruoshi. Yang Cheng, if you're a man, bring her out of the police station right now. If you don't have the ability, don't be so shameless to find so many women. Lu Qingshan cursed on the other end of the line. The mafia boss was obviously going crazy over his daughter's arrest. Yang Chen didn't feel good about it. He felt extremely aggrieved, but he had no choice. He was no longer the carefree kid who would just kill someone and get it over with. He had no choice but to say to Lu Qingshan, bringing Mingyu out of the police station isn't a difficult task. The problem is, will she be able to clear her name? Will it be able to make her pay for what she suffered? The more chaotic the situation is, the more we'll fall into the criminal's trap. Uncle, if you want Mingyu to continue being wronged, then I'll bring your daughter out even if I blow up the police station. But will that work? Lu Qingshan was also angry. Hearing Yang Cheng talk to him so calmly, he forcefully suppressed his anger and said, then I'll give you a day at most. If you can't clear Yuer's name, then you don't have to go. I'll personally bring someone over. Yang Cheng was also a little annoyed. He said, don't worry, I won't let Mingyu stay in there for long. If something really happens, I won't need you to say anything. I'll tear down the police station myself. I hope you keep your word. Without waiting for Lu Qingshan to finish, Yang Cheng hung up the phone. He didn't have the time to argue with that person. Scratching his head, Yang Cheng began to think hard. Just what detail had he missed? Why did everything seem so strange? All the signs clearly pointed to Li Mingyi's problem, but how did he do it? What evidence did he have to capture it? Suddenly, a spark flashed in Yang Cheng's mind. He quickly picked up the phone and dialed Lin Ruoshi's number. Although the two of them had just quarreled, Lin Ruoshi still picked up the phone and asked in a cold tone, did you find anything? Yang Cheng didn't beat around the bush. He asked, I want to know the first and last completion dates of the stolen information. Also, how many copies of all the information are there? Chapter 694. Lin Ruoshi recalled for a while on the other end of the phone and said, because they are all planning documents, so they have been prepared since the beginning of the year. The first one should be in January, and the last one was last week. As for the backup, only Mingyu and I have it. Although the higher-ups of other departments also participated in the discussion, they can't get their hands on the final documents. Although the online documents are all electronic versions, they are all official and definitely leaked from the company. Because there are no real documents, it is impossible for someone to forge them. Why is there a problem with this? Including last week's, all of them were leaked? Yang Cheng asked carefully. Lin Ruoshi replied with an N sound, you can't be suspecting me. After all, if anyone has the information, I am also a suspect. Besides, it's not like I don't have the motive to commit the crime. Yang Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Ruoshi, do you need to be so sarcastic towards me? 90% of Yulei International shares are in your hands. What reason do you have to harm your own interests? Although I know you don't like Mingyu in your heart, you wouldn't use that kind of method to bully her. You are a proud woman, aren't you? Lin Ruoshi was silent for a while, ignoring Yang Cheng's evaluation, and said, now I only have 55% of the shares in my hands. What? Yang Cheng was stunned. Didn't you have 90% of the shares before? Why is it suddenly only 55%? Lin Ruoshi said, because after the new material went on the market, the company expanded on a large scale, and I have been acquiring entertainment and leisure industries in recent months, so the demand for funds is high. I have paid back all the money I borrowed from the Swiss bank. Now, our company is doing well, and the global evaluation is very high. The value of the shares has been high, so I have sold 35% of the shares. After all, as long as I am the controlling shareholder, it doesn't matter how much I own. Yang Cheng said gloomily. You don't need to pay back the money from the Swiss bank. Didn't the president tell you clearly? What are you trying to do now? Also, if you need money, you can ask your husband for it. Why are you selling your shares yourself? It's not like I don't have money. I can support myself. Why do I have to ask you for money? Lin Ruoshi was obviously dissatisfied with Yang Cheng's male chauvinism. Do you think that if you ask me for money, I will threaten you or something? You think too highly of me. Also, don't you think about it carefully? You only have 55% of the company's shares left. What if the company's shares fluctuate and someone starts a financial war with you? Just like today, once the stock market opens, you'll be in big trouble, Yang Cheng said with a frown. Lin Ruoshi said with dissatisfaction, Am I a deity? How would I know that this would happen? Moreover, I am the chairman of a multinational company. Even Microsoft's Bill Gates, who holds the same position as me, only owns about 20% of the company's shares. Even if I own 50% of the company's shares, it is already considered a large proportion. Is this wrong? Yang Cheng didn't want to dwell on this topic. He sighed and said, all right. It doesn't matter anymore. What I want to say is, if I'm not wrong, the work of copying those documents was handed over to Wu Yu. Lin Ruoshi hesitated and said, You suspect that Wu Yu secretly tampered with it? Yang Cheng said. Where is the copying equipment? I don't remember you having it in your office. Lin Ruoshi said, Yes, they're all beside Wu Yu's assistant's office. But that's not possible because I personally went over to watch Wu Yu copy those important documents and then brought them back to the office. If Wu Yu wanted to tamper with it, I would know. One last question. In the safe in Mingyu's office, the original copies of those documents are still inside, right? Yang Cheng said. You open the safe? Lin Ruoshi asked doubtfully. Yang Cheng said, No, I'm just guessing. Lin Ruoshi answered honestly, he's still inside. We've known about this for a long time. But technology is so advanced now. As long as there is some digital equipment, it's only a matter of minutes to copy the physical documents. This doesn't help clear Mingyu's name. After all, it's more risky to carry the physical documents. If I were a thief, I wouldn't have taken the physical documents. If that's the case, everything makes sense. It's not that Wu Yu deliberately tampered with it, but that she unknowingly helped someone else. Thinking of some of the scenes that he had seen before, Yang Cheng's thoughts became clear. He breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile. However, there was no response from Lin Ruoshi, nor did she ask why. Yang Cheng was still waiting for the woman to ask him so that he could show off. However, after a while, he only heard the sound of something colliding, as if something had collided with something hard. Ruoshi? Ruoshi, are you still there? Yang Cheng's heart tightened. Wifey, don't scare me. Hello. There was no response from the other side of the phone, but the phone was connected. Yang Cheng suddenly realized what had happened and rushed out of the office. He didn't take the elevator, but ran to the emergency exit stairs. With 2 leaps, he went directly to the floor of the CEO's office. When Yang Cheng's figure appeared in the corridor like the wind, Wu Yu, who had just come out of the office and was about to go to Lin Ruoshi's office, bumped into him. Seeing Yang Cheng's anxious face, Wu Yu panicked for a moment. Before she could greet him, she saw Yang Cheng quickly run to the CEO's office and push the door open. As soon as he entered the office, the situation in front of him made Yang Cheng's heart sink to the bottom. On the carpet in front of the desk, Lin Ruoshi had already fainted. One of her hands was still holding onto her cell phone. Apparently, she had just been talking to Yang Cheng, but had suddenly fainted. Wu Yu, who had followed him in, screamed when she saw this scene. The pile of documents that she had been holding in her arms fell to the ground, and her eyes were filled with panic. Yang Cheng instantly calmed down. He walked to Lin Ruoshi and squatted down. He grabbed Lin Ruoshi's wrist with one hand and held her in his arms. He transferred a stream of true core strength into the woman's body. At the same time, he carefully checked the condition of Lin Ruoshi's body. In a flash, Yang Cheng's eyes were burning with anger, and his body began to tremble. After checking, Yang Cheng found that in Lin Ruoshi's internal organs, especially near her liver, there was a large accumulation of unknown toxic substances. Although these substances were not fatal for the time being, They would slowly corrode Lin Ruashi's internal organs and damage healthy cells. If there were no accidents, it could worsen into cancer in a short period of time. Just now, Lin Ruashi's illness had suddenly flared up, which had led to a strong reaction from the body's immune system. Her brain had chosen to fainted to protect itself. Lin, General Lin, what happened to you? Wu Yu's face was full of grief. She couldn't help but cry. She stood trembling in a daze. Yang Cheng transferred a stream of true core strength into Lin Ruashi's body. After stabilizing Lin Ruashi's condition, he asked, "Did Ruashi eat or drink anything just now?" Wu Yu was stunned for a moment. Then, she said softly, "I only made a cup of coffee for General Lin." As she said that, she pointed to the half-finished cup of hot coffee on the table. Yang Cheng asked with a gloomy face, "You made this coffee yourself? Did no one participate?" Wu Yu's face was pale. "Director Yang, no, it wasn't me. I really don't know why this happened. This coffee is General Lin's favorite flavor. He always drinks it like this." Yang Cheng picked up Lin Ruashi and said to Wu Yu, "Later, I will send a foreigner here. Give the rest of the coffee to him, and then ask him to go to your office to get something. If anyone asks where Ruashi is, say that she is not feeling well and is going to the hospital to recuperate. You don't have to worry about anything else." In the past, Wu didn't like Yang Cheng, but at this moment, she didn't dare to be careless. She could only nod and agree, her eyes full of worry. Yang Cheng carried Lin Ruashi all the way downstairs. When they reached the parking lot, he directly drove Lin Ruashi's car to the hospital. When they were on the road, Yang Cheng called Mullen again. Mullen was still trying to find out Li Mingyi's background and couldn't spare any time. So, Yang Cheng asked him to send another team member to Yu Lei's headquarters to retrieve 2 pieces of evidence and bring them back to the secret base for analysis. At the same time, they had to monitor Li Mingyi's specific location. They didn't want to alert the enemy, but they couldn't let him disappear. They rushed all the way to the hospital. Fortunately, with Yang Cheng's powerful true core stabilizing her condition didn't worsen. After asking for the highest standard intensive care unit, Yang Cheng didn't let the hospital's doctors come over to check on her. He didn't intend to rely on ordinary medical technology to treat Lin Ruashi's condition in the first place. After locking the door and turning off his phone to avoid any disturbances, Yang Cheng began to use the endless resolve restoration scripture's ability to repair cells and tissues. He combined it with his true core, which was now incomparable to the past, to help clear away all the toxins that had accumulated in Lin Ruashi's meridians. Compared to the toxins in Tang Wan's blood, the toxins in Lin Ruashi's body were much weaker. If it hadn't accumulated in such a large amount, it wouldn't have caused such a strong impact on her body. However, this also made it easier for Yang Cheng to treat her. He didn't need to use his own blood to purge the toxins. He could just use his true core to guide the toxins out of her body. In order not to damage Lin Ruashi's internal organs, Yang Cheng was very careful. It took him almost an hour to clear 99% of the toxins in her body. When Yang Cheng finished clearing away the toxins, Lin Ruashi's pale face had a sickly flush. In her coma, a mouthful of black blood gushed out from the corner of her mouth. Yang Cheng was already prepared. He used a wet towel to wipe it all away, not letting the dirty blood stain Lin Ruashi's clothes. Yang Cheng sighed heavily as he looked at the woman in front of him. Her pale lips were slightly cracked, and she was panting weakly. There were strands of hair stuck to her forehead. He held Lin Ruashi's hand with one hand and fell into a daze. In fact, from Yang Cheng's point of view, no matter what happened outside, as long as the person was fine, the company and the assets didn't seem to matter. Compared to the suffering of the company, when he saw that Lin Ruashi had fainted, Yang Cheng's heart twitched even more violently, and he even felt a sense of suffocation for a moment. Just as Yang Cheng was feeling emotional, Lin Ruashi slowly woke up. She looked around in a daze, and after realizing that this was a ward, she seemed to recall what had just happened. Then, she slowly looked at Yang Cheng, who was in front of the bed, and said weakly, "The company, how is it?" Yang Cheng was happy that the woman had woken up. He ran to the side to get a cup of warm water to rinse Lin Ruoshi's mouth. When he heard this, his original happy expression instantly froze. Slowly placing the cup of water on the table, Yang Cheng looked at the woman with an ugly expression and said, "Can't your mind be filled with other things? Company, work, even if you don't find it annoying, I find it annoying. You're already lying in the hospital. Don't tell me you don't care about yourself first." Lin Ruoshi, you're not being professional, you're being stupid. The more Yang Cheng spoke, the angrier he got. He suddenly stood up and paced in front of the bed with his hands on his hips. He pointed at Lin Ruoshi and said, "If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have saved you so quickly. I'll just let you lie like this. It's good that you lay international clothes down, so you'll become a complete housewife. You won't have to attend meetings and work overtime. A married woman is busy from day to night. If others knew about this, they would think that I, as your husband, like to abuse you and rely on you to support the family. Do you know that your body has been poisoned? If I'm not by your side, you might have cancer. Do you know that?" Just like that, Yang Cheng scolded a bunch of things and was extremely angry. However, Lin Ruoshi was a little dazed at first, but later on, she looked at him with a gentle gaze, and a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Yang Cheng realized that Lin Ruoshi wasn't angry, but was instead smiling shyly. He was startled and said loudly, "What? Do you think what I said is ridiculous? Let me tell you, you can say that I'm a male chauvinist, or that I'm selfish, but I'm just like that. If I'm a villain, then I'm a villain. I can't be bothered to care about the life and death of those people in the company. I really don't believe that without you as the CEO, they won't have any food to eat." Lin Ruoshi lowered her head and rubbed her hands on the sheets. She said quietly, "Right now, Mingyu is still in the police station. You're here, and you're saying these things to me. Aren't you worried that she'll be wronged in the police station?" A trace of helplessness flashed past Yang Cheng's eyes, and he said with a bitter smile, "I'm worried. Of course I'm worried, but there are also priorities. I should be much better now. You can go and busy yourself with other things first." Lin Ruoshi raised her head and said with a smile that was not a smile in her eyes. Yang Cheng lost his temper and sighed dejectedly. "Lin Ruoshi, I really can't do anything to you. You're still playing this game with me at this time. It's a mess out there, and Mingyu is still in the police station. But for you, I turned off my phone and ignored everything else. I focused all my attention on detoxifying the poison for you. Do you really want me to dig out my heart, cut it into slices, and put it under a microscope for you to understand my heart?